Highly aggressive driving techniques to put the brakes on fleeing criminals. Join the high-speed chase on Discovery Sunday. Coming up next on the Discovery Channel.
It weighs 7 tons, runs faster than an Olympic sprinter, and speaks a language humans can't even hear. Get these fascinating facts plus more in The Ultimate Guide to Elephants, now on Discovery Home Video. The most comprehensive and innovative look at these mysterious creatures. Rare footage mixed with state-of-the-art computer imaging literally takes you inside the largest animals on Earth. This truly is the ultimate guide. Order The Ultimate Guide to Elephants for just $19.95. Call 1-800-372-9339 now with your credit card ready.
To an untrained ear might sound like a cacophony of bellowing and rumbling. To Joyce Poole is meaningful.
Many calls are quite simple. For instance, a call meaning, I want more milk, or another call meaning, let's go. Whereas other calls seem to be very complex. There's a series of rumbles that are almost like a discussion, with one female saying, let's go this way, and another female saying, no, I want to go in the other direction. Who knows what they're actually saying to one another, but so far we've identified some 33 different calls made by elephants: rumbles, trumpets, snorts, groans, bellows, and so on, each with a different meaning. But I feel we're just at the beginning.
It's now thought that this communication is at least as sophisticated as that of great apes, whales, and dolphins. Joyce Poole makes even greater claims, believing that elephants may be conscious in the same way we are.
People tend to think that only humans are self-aware, but from the years that I've spent with elephants, I do think that they too are self-aware. I think that they have a sense of humor, for instance. Watching elephants, sometimes in the way that they play, certain expressions they make, as if they are amused at their own actions. Times that I've sort of played with elephants, and those games are remembered many years later, and the elephants will come towards the car and waggle their head in a certain way with what we call a smile, as if to say, yes, I remember that game with you.
If these animals possess a sense of humor and a self-awareness, as Joyce Poole claims, it would suggest that they have an emotional life and feelings for each other. The way they behave around the remains of one of their own is akin to the way humans express their grief.
Elephants seem to have an understanding of death. It's just amazing watching elephants around the bones of other elephants. The way they turn the bones over and examine every crevice, stepping very carefully on the bones, the way they wake up a baby. What is it that they're trying to find out? Why are they doing this? It's almost like a ritual. Who else has rituals around death? Humans.
Does this mighty creature really possess the capacity for consciousness and feelings, as Joyce Poole suggests? We may dissect its brain, record its sounds, and analyze its body language. But for now, its inner world remains beyond our grasp. All we can say for sure is that the elephant is more than the sum of its very large parts.
Photos capture the memories and the important times of our lives. But as days fade, the memories don't have to disappear. Way back there in 1994, when a 500-year flood came through and destroyed my home, I was able to canoe over to the house, hoping to find my tomcat. As I got back to my home and the water had gone down, I wandered around sadly, and I saw in a pile of muck one 8mm movie roll. I guess we called them home movies back then. After that 1994 flood, Bo Tardy of Space City Sprockets was able to resurrect that one roll of film, which happened to be my wedding day. Bo was able to collect those memories from that roll of film. He managed to clean it, stretch it out, let it dry, clean it again, re-spool it, and then put it back into digital form. But it brings back precious memories to me now. We collect images as we move along in life. Photos from grandparents, maybe an old Kodak Brownie, our parents with Polaroids and Super 8 films. As time marches on, technology changes. That old movie projector is history, along with the Polaroids, 35mm cameras, and prints, all now labeled and boxed in a closet. But those images and memories can be preserved and brought back to life. It takes knowledge, care, and equipment, but even the most ancient films can be converted to digital images and enjoyed with their original quality. Do you have VHS tapes or old film reels that you can't watch anymore? Let Space City Sprockets transfer those movies for you.
This is not a movie. You are inside the police car of a Texas state trooper chasing two armed prisoner escapees in a stolen truck. A miniature camera fastened to the windshield offers an uneasy view of the chase. Before this chase is over, you will accelerate to nearly 120 miles per hour. If the trooper makes one mistake, someone gets hurt or dies. At any moment, the convicts could shoot at him. Increasingly worried that the fugitives would head into a nearby town and endanger pedestrians, the trooper takes drastic action. He shoots at the truck, wounding one of the fugitives. They get the message: surrender or die. The London Metropolitan Police are in pursuit of a stolen vehicle used in a felony. This team pursuit was recorded on a video camera mounted on the dash. The numbers on the screen record time, date, and speeds of a London traffic car. A thermal imaging camera is in the helicopter. It sees heat. The hot engines of the cars look white. The full-screen thermal camera even sees body heat as a white image. The cool buildings are darker. No driver of a fleeing vehicle has ever escaped after being spotted by a London helicopter. Police supervisors back at Scotland Yard monitor the chase, watching television images microwaved to them from the helicopter. The aircraft radios the position of the suspects to the chase cars, allowing them to hang back and follow at a safer distance. This chase lasts for a half hour before the suspects start sideswiping other cars.
Touch one car, touch two, touch two cars.
We are in the older section of London now. The streets are narrow, curved. They were not planned for automobiles, or this.
With that one. Can you update exact location of everything?
The camera captures their last effort to escape. Behind the wheel of the fleeing truck is the victim of a carjacking, held hostage by a man with a gun. After a bungled armed robbery, he took the truck and driver at gunpoint.
He just took a shot. He just took a shot right out of the side of the car. You saw it looked like a large silver revolver. Here's again. He's leaning out, and he's firing. He's firing right now.
The victim drives into a dead end, and the suspect is captured.
Okay, they've got him. It doesn't look like they shot him. Nope, looks like he's handcuffed. He's walking. I just can't believe
High-speed chases do not always involve armed criminals. Most pursuits start after minor traffic offenses, and most suspects are men aged 18 to 25 and drunk. While they may not be armed, they are no less dangerous. Chasing them is a high-risk, high-stakes undertaking, which can end in death for the police, the suspects, and civilians. Police everywhere are struggling to cope with the high-speed chase.
Just after firing several...
Okay, he's trying to run on me now. He's getting off on the loop.
Each year throughout the world, more than 75,000 police cars give chase. And every year, 1,000 people are killed and 20,000 injured in the U.S. alone.
Okay, Rick, give me an ambulance down here. Give me an ambulance, Atlanta.
1 in 4 ends in a crash, with pedestrians and other drivers increasingly caught in the fray.
Got no pulse. Looks like a traumatic arrest. Our guys are working on a heart patient now. Yeah.
The chase leaves tragedy in its wake.
50 gauge.
More than 200 innocent bystanders are killed each year, a number the police find unacceptable. Now, officers are training to recognize when and how their own vehicles become weapons.
The police job, I think, is really misunderstood by people because they watch television, they watch movies. But most of the time, the police work can be kind of boring. You go from moments of tedious behavior of just driving a car to sudden terrifying moments where you're rushing down the road at 60, 70 miles an hour. Maybe there's a firearm involved.
Before the car ever leaves the parking lot of the police station, I talk about pursuit driving. What are we going to do if we get involved in a pursuit tonight, and at what point, if you're driving, do I expect you to back off, and vice versa, 5 minutes into your watch, you can be involved in a vehicle pursuit, and if you haven't discussed it with your partner, then you're not prepared. And being ill-prepared can be a deadly mistake.
At the Los Angeles Police Academy, recruits receive 1 day of classroom training and 3 days on the track. Sergeant Ron Moen instructs a class of recruits.
So often, the suspect determines the speed that pursuit is going to go, and that's where it becomes dangerous. You know why? Because now you are allowing the contempt of cop and the adrenaline flow to determine how you drive. Because the suspect will go as fast as he or she has got to go to get away from you. That means that when the suspect drives in a manner that is too dangerous for you, too dangerous for the public, then you need to make that decision. You are constantly evaluating your pursuit. Do I continue? Do I back off?
Sergeant Jerry Bush has been teaching emergency driving for the LAPD for more than 30 years.
And coming into the turn, don't exceed the ability of the tires to hang on to the roadway. We teach controlled speed on this course. We don't want you to go any faster than you can go with control. Speed is of no value to you whatsoever if you can't keep it on the road. In any situation, you only want to go as fast as you can go with control. It's important for students to get exposure to the siren noise while they're driving, because when you're out in the field and you become involved in a pursuit, the effects of the siren elevate your adrenaline flow, and oftentimes it affects in an adverse way your ability to judge speed and make other judgmental factors that you need to be able to make in a pursuit type situation.
While the LAPD takes 4 days to train its officers, smaller departments require even less time. But official training can be bolstered with high-tech help. These officers in West Covina, California, attend virtual reality driving school.
21, I'm now westbound I Street.
The driving simulators provide different scenarios for the police officers to encounter. They will have to make quick decisions while driving and using the radio, lights, and sirens.
I have a felony car stop at 12th and I Street. Southbound 14 from
The simulator also trains teams in techniques of the group chase. Officers here have customized the system to reflect the real world by including the use of firearms.
Felony car stop at I Street.
The danger does not end when the vehicle stops. In fact, it can increase if the officer forgets his training, even for an instant.
Driver, throw the keys out the window and exit the vehicle. Passenger, exit the vehicle. Hands up in the air.
Some police officers let all of that go out the window, and they rush up on a car that they've been chasing for who knows how many miles, and basically they give away any thought to officer safety altogether, because they're running up on an individual. They could have a gun. As the officer approaching that vehicle, you will be vulnerable to at least 1 or 2 rounds if that individual decides to shoot at you before the 3/4 of a second reaction time allows you to draw your weapon and return fire. So you've already given the suspect 2 rounds to shoot at you, and that's not acceptable.
Driver, get your hands on the windshield where I can see him. Drop the gun. That's right, driver. Keep your hands up. Drop the gun.
Both the driving and the firearm simulator centers are geared toward decision making. They're not geared toward getting an officer automatically into a pursuit or automatically chasing someone or automatically getting into a firearm situation. It's decision making, and sometimes when an officer's in a pursuit, that officer has to learn to make a decision to cut that pursuit sometimes, and that's very, very difficult to do for an officer just to say, I think this situation has gone too far and I need to stop right where I am. And these simulator training centers teaches the officer to do those kind of things.
The training lets police officers evaluate and second-guess their decisions, a luxury not afforded during the real thing. After each scene, they replay their performance and carefully examine their own behavior. Until recently, police officers were limited in their ability to stop speeding vehicles without resorting to a high-speed chase. Roadblocks are a danger to both officers and civilians. Shooting the tires can send the car out of control, threatening bystanders. But now, new tire-flattening devices can stop the speeding driver safely in his tracks. Called stop sticks, these portable pieces are loaded with spikes that pierce the tires. The spikes have hollow tubes that allow the air to slowly escape from the tires so that the fleeing suspect will not lose control. In rural Georgia, stop sticks were deployed here to stop a drunk driver.
It's a white Cadillac. There's no license information occupied by a black male, 690.
Okay, he's at Indiana. He's going to have to turn one way or the other on Indiana here.
Really?
Okay, he's going to go back to the north on Indiana from 30th Street.
Pursuing units were told to stay in the left lanes to avoid the sticks.
6 miles on east zone. The car is going, he's going to go eastbound from Indiana on about 28th Street.
A few minutes later, the driver stopped and was arrested.
Assault mobile weapon.
The London police use the Stinger, an expandable device also equipped with sharp, hollow tubes. Once the vehicle rolls over the Stinger, the police create a kind of moving roadblock, surrounding it with their cars. A police car in front slows down the fugitive, while another pulls up behind to complete the ambush.
See him. He's coming fast. We're running about 80.
Road spikes work well in rural areas with little traffic. In bigger cities, however, they're less effective. The urban solution? A portable, retractable road spike. Rotating spikes lay flat to let ordinary traffic through. The spikes shoot up just before the suspect's vehicle hits the strip, then rotate down to allow pursuing vehicles to continue the chase. Also in the works is an automobile stun gun. This electromagnetic pulse device is designed to burn out the ignition of a fleeing vehicle. After being zapped, the car's engine stops running and cannot be restarted.
She's dead.
But while this device is only in the developmental stage, there are already concerns among some police. Once disabled, the fleeing vehicle continues to roll. The driver has little ability to control it and the damage it may do. The high cost, $1,500 per device, will likely keep it out of most police cars for now. One highly controversial technique uses skilled drivers to throw the fleeing vehicle into a spin. It's a difficult maneuver, one that very few officers are trained to execute. The police cruiser hits the metal panel behind the suspect's rear wheel, causing the vehicle to skid. When it stops, it is usually facing the opposite direction. And when it works, there are no serious injuries. But the maneuver is risky, because if the suspect's car is hit in the wrong place, it can careen out of control. This truck was the subject of a long police chase through Los Angeles. In this case, the suspects were not injured, and the police car suffered only minor damage. This high-speed chase through California ended in a spin. After a gun was thrown out of the passenger side window of the van, a 100-mile-per-hour chase ensued. The police drivers radioed headquarters for permission to try ramming the vehicle. Once the okay was given, a helicopter flew ahead of the chase to identify the safest location for the maneuver. The wheels of the van hit the curb. All three occupants were arrested.
When we return, officers use new technology and techniques in the pursuit of fugitives on the run. On Discovery Sunday next. Go behind the scenes into the FBI's crime lab and meet the men and women who push science to its limits to put killers behind bars. The New Detectives. Tuesday at 9 Eastern, 8 Central on the Discovery Channel. Explore your world.
Relax. You are now entering a stress-free zone. A free breakfast will be prepared for you daily. You will rest in a comfortable 2-room suite. Your satisfaction is guaranteed. Unwind with evening beverages and enjoy yourself here, because eventually you'll have to go back out there. Embassy Suites, twice the hotel. Call 1-800-EMBASSY.
Rough roads, sharp curves. To keep a firm grip on roads like this depends upon your shock absorbers. Look, with a worn-out shock absorber, the wheel leaves the road. But with a new Monroe Sensitrack shock absorber, your tire holds the road. With Monroe Sensitrack, even the most demanding road feels safer. Monroe Sensitrack, making the road a safer place. Have your shocks checked every 12,000 miles just to be safe.
Life can be hard. TV should be easy. And with the new Encore Movie Networks, it's as easy as it gets. You can choose from 7 premium movie channels, each with a different theme. A channel that shows only Westerns. We've got an action channel. All action, 24 hours a day. A channel that's all love stories. A channel that's all true stories. A a channel that plays only hit movies. There's even Wham, a great kids channel. And a spine-tingling mystery channel, all commercial-free 24 hours a day. To get all 7 channels, call 1-800-DIRECTV or call your cable operator or Prime Star and keep calling until they carry all of them. The new Encore Movie Network, just what you're in the mood for.
From the Discovery Channel and ABC News, Discovery Newsbreak.
Good evening. The F-22, the first new fighter jet developed for the Air Force in more than 25 years, will make its debut this week. In Washington, Xing Xing, one of the 3 giant pandas in the United States, will undergo cancer surgery later this month. And today is the start of the 1,000-day countdown to the 3rd millennium. That's Discovery Newsbreak.
Truck, you owe it to yourself to stop by North Point Pontiac Buick GMC today. We have the largest selection of Pontiacs in North Houston, and we have absolutely more GMC trucks than anyone else in the area. In short, North Point has more than 400 new cars and trucks to choose from. And our commitment to you continues. It will cost you less than North Point in Kingwood, and that's a fact. So, what are you waiting for? North Point Pontiac Buick GMC, Highway 59 North, exit McClellan.
King's Crossing Travel is your travel specialist, located at Town Center in Kingwood. Vacation packages and prices you can't get anywhere else.
Pat and Pam are the travel experts.
I always depend on Pat and Pam for my travel needs.
Dreaming about an exotic place in the sun, a romantic cruise, or a fun ski vacation? We'll make that dream come true.
Mention this ad and receive free airport limo transfers with any 7-day or longer cruise.
Hi, I'm Pam. Call King's Crossing Travel at Town Center for all your travel needs.
We return to High Speed Chase.
The LAPD started using helicopters 40 years ago for traffic control, but they quickly evolved into flying police cars. 2 helicopters patrol Los Angeles, flying in 2-hour shifts. Lieutenant Keith Johnson is one of the pilots.
The helicopter is a particularly valuable tool to the ground forces when it comes to vehicle pursuits. And there's a variety of reasons for that. The police officers on the ground in a pursuit situation, they really have 2 competing interests. One is to apprehend the suspect. The other, of course, is the protection of the lives of the citizens and other officers on the street.
Once the helicopter has the car in sight, it will not lose it. Ground units can then back off and slow down, keeping their distance while the helicopter informs them of the suspect's movements. At night, the helicopter can throw a light on the car, all but assuring the fugitives that their plan will not end successfully.
And he is high speed.
The Police Air Support Unit in San Diego responded to a call of a car driving recklessly through a school zone. The actual chase took more than 20 minutes. The stolen car was recovered with 1.5 kilos of cocaine hidden inside.
It's on the wrong side of the road. No units are behind this guy. He's just 505. Okay, he's coming up on fire, and let the units know the video camera is running.
10-4 for information for units, the video camera is running.
And plug the border, please.
Notify the border.
10-4, notify now.
Coming up on San Ysidro. Speed is about 90 to 100. And there is no police car anywhere in sight behind this guy. He's just doing it on his own.
10-4, no unit behind him, and he is passing 100 miles an hour.
Okay, he made a right turn. He's going towards the border, 700 East San Ysidro.
10-4, 700 East San Ysidro towards the border for the red Mustang convertible.
He's making a right. Okay, he's going to be going northbound on the freeways, it looks like. This guy's outrunning me. Just to let you know, this guy is, he's outrunning us, so we can cut corners, but he is well in excess of 100. Getting off on a San Ysidro Boulevard, heading towards 1200, or makes it 800 West San Ysidro Boulevard. He made a left turn, headed towards Dairy Mart. He's going over I-5 westbound on Dairy Mart. Holy shit, he almost hit that construction guy.
10-4, over I-5 towards Dairy Mart there.
Okay, he's going Monument Road out towards right where it goes along the fence down by the West Levee. He may be going to run across the port. If he does, we're going to land and try to bail out and catch this guy. Okay, Abel, he's right down by the new sewage treatment plant on the dirt road right now, and he's going to run across the fence here. Okay, he's going to Mexico. Hang on, I'm going to try to ID the guy. Hispanic male, white t-shirt, black pants, white tennis shoes. The wire, I got him.
Have Abel come up. I'm coming in. I don't need all the dust.
Okay, Abel, he is in Mexico.
And for Abel advising, he is across the border going into Mexico.
Keep it here. I'm going to videotape him. All right. Abel, we know where he is. He hasn't come out of a perimeter I'm watching, and if anybody can get radio contact with Beta, let me know, and I'll start relaying the info. Beta has a suspect in custody, and they're going to bring him to our location with the vehicle, or where the vehicle's at, if Abel can ID. Abel, yeah, we're going to have to come down low so I can ID the guy, though, yeah, but so cover your
The suspect was arrested in Mexico, and the car returned to its owner.
You want to land? We're tracking him.
Helicopter chases are now aided by cameras that can lock onto a target and track its movement automatically, day or night. The new surveillance software works much like the guidance systems used during the Gulf War.
What we're trying to do is identify a target with a track on white hot. The system's now acquired the target as tracking it.
In California, the Pasadena Air Unit was one of the first to try out the new tracking device, which works in tandem with the helicopter's infrared camera. The camera detects the target using heat. The tracking device then reads and remembers the target's heat signature and follows it.
The system is now locked on to his lower portion of his body.
Notice the system, the lower left hand is indicating it's in the tracking mode. It's acquired the target in white, which means an infrared sees only heat, not light, and it's locked on to the white-hot undercarriage of the vehicle.
Without auto-tracking, the observer has to follow the target manually, a difficult task in a helicopter.
Police units, go straight on.
Okay, it's Oscar 417 again, heading on towards the IKEA.
Yes, go for IKEA.
A few years ago, police helicopters were rare in Great Britain. Today, more than 50 are in use due to the success of the London Police Helicopter Unit based at Lippets Hill, a former World War II anti-aircraft site. The English helicopters are fast, capable of flying 150 miles per hour. They have twin engines. If one fails while over heavily populated London, the helicopter can still return to Lippets Hill. The helicopters are also equipped to broadcast live video to Scotland Yard and local police stations. Greg Waite is a constable for the London Air Unit.
The downlink is important because it gives senior officers up-to-date video of what is actually going on the ground.
This is the suspect vehicle we have here. It's running eastbound on the M25 at the moment.
The British police helicopters normally have a three-man crew: a pilot, a front observer who operates the video system, and the rear observer. The rear observer alerts ground units with information about the location of the suspects and the road and traffic conditions ahead.
If the pursuing police vehicle can lay back and allow the helicopter to monitor the movements of that, it makes the pursuit a lot safer. At night, we are called on even more because you find that suspects tend to use the cover of darkness to commit crime. However, once again with a thermal imaging camera, we can detect these suspects. Also, there's the missing persons. We get called on quite a lot to look for missing persons, children, elderly people who may have gone missing from hospital.
The police vehicles on the ground are driven by the best trained personnel in the world. London police must pass 7 weeks of intensive training before they're ever permitted to drive in pursuits.
Okay with that? Yeah.
They learn here at the Advanced Motor Driving School at Peel Center. Vince Townsend is a sergeant at the school.
It's more than 25 years that we've been teaching police driving, and it's really an evolvement from
basic handling characteristics which were developed by the racing car driver, the Earl of Coppenham.
This is what the final exam looks like. In this case, Sergeant Townsend is playing the role of a student, taking a type of test not found in any classroom. The sergeant is driving an unmarked car without sirens or lights. He is following an unmarked blue car driven by another instructor. They will reach speeds of 120 miles per hour while driving through normal traffic. Advanced Driving School believes that police should train in actual traffic instead of on a special course. Two instructors watch carefully. One in the back seat to check the student driver's skills, how he shifts, uses the brake, and takes control. Another in the front seat listens as the student keeps track of his speed, road conditions, and the weather. Townsend will also be graded on how well he anticipates what the suspect and the civilian cars will do.
Fourth gear, we just gently ease it around the corner, watching the limit point, always remembering, can I stop in the distance so I can steady clear. The road's a bit bouncy here, bear that in mind, Mira. Centre road for safety here, got plenty of vision, losing vision over the top of the hill, and a hedgerow picking out potential right-hand corners. Mira, back in towards the inside, the speed is reduced a little bit down to 80 miles an hour.
When we return, exceptional driving skills and training aid the police in catching fleeing criminals. Find out how on Discovery Sunday next.
Introducing the rugged new Montana from Pontiac. It's the only minivan with seating for 8. Life is more exciting in Montana.
Pick you boys up same time tomorrow?
We saw a city built on hope and touched a wall that touched us back. We swam under a crystal waterfall hidden in the desert and explored mysteries that we had only read about. And we watched as children danced to melodies 2,000 years old. In Israel, we found something we didn't even know we were looking for. Ourselves. Israel. No one belongs here more than you.
At IAMS, we know that having a cat can do wonders for a person's health and happiness. It can lower blood pressure, reduce stress, helping us lead longer, fuller lives. Well, now you can return the favor by feeding your cat IAMS every day. Cats love its taste, and it's more nutritious because its quality ingredients are more digestible. IAMS cat food, good for life. From the IAMS Company.
$500 miles from your driveway. 20 miles from the border. 10 feet from home. Recreation vehicles. Wherever you go, you're always at home. Call today for a free video or visit an RV dealer near you.
Coming up next, the art of fire investigation. Part science, part intuition. Find out how fire marshals piece together the evidence. Arson, clues in the ashes on Discovery Sunday. Coming up next on the Discovery Channel. Go behind the scenes into the FBI's crime lab and meet the men and women who push science to its limits to put killers behind bars. The New Detectives. Tuesday at 9 Eastern, 8 Central on the Discovery Channel. Explore your world. Now, back to High Speed Chase. Explore.
Police chase this stolen car outside of London. India 99 is the call sign for the helicopter.
Romney Road, Romeo Oscar Mike November Echo Yankee, Romney Road. Yes, received. Oscar Mike 14, Stinger is authorised, MPL.
Notice the British police obey the 2-second rule. No matter what the speed, they must be at least 2 full seconds behind the car they are pursuing.
Red 8 here, short side of the road, brake lights. You're thinking about going on the grass? It is on the grass. You lost it big style, but you're on the grass. You're still looking in the gear, wheel spinning, mad IC1, short, dark, greasy hair, seatbelt is off. Stand by for a decap. On the road, I can't give you a road name, but it's back towards the church and Blackheath Village, Mike 5. Right, to your left, Paragon Place, Southeast 3. Paragon Place, Southeast 3. Paragon Place, Southeast 3, received. Mike, Oscar Mike 1 for you. You anywhere? He's out. Camp Paragon Place, engine 990, are you above MP?
Well above MP, and he's out over the flats. He's got several officers behind him, still across the flats, and...
In the end, all technological advances take a back seat as one police officer chases the suspect on foot.
Go ahead, over. You've got Mike 5 out chasing a suspect from a lost or stolen. Paragon Place, Southeast 3. Indian 99 on scene, Angela.
German police do not often pursue vehicles because authorities there consider such chases to be too dangerous. Instead, German police rely on a system of fixed video cameras on streets to observe traffic. If you're caught on video running a stoplight, speeding, or violating other traffic laws, your license is recorded and traced. The ticket arrives in the mail. This unmarked police car is equipped with a high-quality recording system. You have to look very closely to see the miniature camera installed just above the rear-view mirror. The tape recorder is in the trunk. Despite their reluctance to give chase, German police received 7 days of training in pursuit techniques. Occasionally, they are called upon to use their training. This motorcyclist was driving recklessly. The bottom right-hand numbers on the video indicate that his speed reached 195 kilometers per hour, or 121 miles per hour. After viewing the tape in court, the driver pleaded guilty. With more TV cameras inside police cars and helicopters, more unusual chase scenes are being captured on tape. In this case, house burglars are pursued through London. They have already thrown drug paraphernalia out of the car. Then, they up the ante. Back off, or out goes the family pet.
Trying to drop a dog out the near side door, over. So it's one of those things of bugger. It's one of those it's like a bull terrier. Chasing across the door. Watch the door. Still chasing the vehicle northbound.
The burglars were captured after a foot chase. The dog was returned to its owners, who report that since the police chase, they have been unable to get the dog in the family car.
What kind of speed we got?
This pursuit of a stolen four-wheel drive vehicle started in Kansas City and ended in Independence, Missouri.
In the northbound lanes of Amber.
One tire explodes.
He's able to go very fast. He's got a right front flat.
Sparks fly from the rim.
The vehicle has a right flat front. He's still northbound on Van Brunt. Now he's in the northbound lane.
I thought he 240. No.
240.
No injuries. 4900 East 45th. When you get a chance in the car, please. Still northbound. Dispatcher past leads.
On the way there, the suspects took a very irrational turn.
Yeah. This is a cemetery. This is a cemetery dispatcher. He's driving in the middle of the cemetery. He's going to try to bail out on me, I think.
10-4, party's now driving in the cemetery. 698 advises why they try to bail.
More to the north. More to the right. Should be Mount Washington Cemetery. He can't go through because of his tombstone. Watch him, he's going to back in, officer. Okay, he just purposely backed into a police car, dispatcher. You got an assault now.
10-4,
Okay, he's still in the cemetery, dispatcher. He's just bouncing off headstones here.
Information in the car, 698 advises vehicle just ran the police car. He's still in the cemetery.
Once the suspect is in the crosshairs of the helicopter's thermal imaging camera, they never seem to get away.
Okay, it's a dead end down here, guys. He's going to stop again. Okay, he's bailing. He's going to run into the creek. Driver just run into the creek. He's dressed in black and blue. The passenger's right behind him, dressed in black and blue. He's going to run underneath the bridge. We got one in custody. Do we have the other one? Both parties in custody.
Chasing a motorcycle is difficult for police cars. The motorcycle can weave through traffic and quickly change directions.
For me.
Call the pursuit for me.
Okay, we're coming up on University Avenue.
Good, on the pursuit. Able, call the pursuit.
I can't see it. He's going southbound 163. Try to keep it steady. I've got to watch this traffic, and I'm trying to give you a
Can the original
visual.
variant identify?
Okay.
And Abel, we're still coming up on the Laurel Street Bridge now. There's a motor unit pretty close behind him. This guy's looking back. I've seen him look back and see the cops, so he is definitely a fair deal.
Okay. He's staying for downtown.
Yep.
Border's right on him now.
Okay, to the motor unit, I'm going to go ahead and call it, so just concentrate on your driving and we'll get it. He's coming into the downtown area.
North of downtown, and for the motor unit. And again, Able will call the pursuit for the Marietta.
Taking, he's going to turn. He's got him right here at Ash. If he's going around him, I think.
Okay, the guy's going to be hanging a U-turn going back northbound 163.
He's going up the wrong way on the freeway.
Okay, this guy is going the wrong way on the freeway.
There's a black and red flash jacket and black helmet. Code is going to be LS 13 2077.
13 Baker 2077, a black and red flag.
Okay, he's going to go on, he's taking
Okay, we're eastbound Upus. And units, don't risk yourself here. We got a good view on him. He's not going to get away.
Again, unit 4, Able call the pursuit. He's safer that way. And a red and black jacket.
Coming up on Park.
Team Park now.
And we're southbound on Park.
Turn around.
The westbound 32nd from Cypress.
Gonna come into the. Oh yeah.
Up in here somewhere. Going to do the cemetery there.
Affirmative. Going into a cemetery up here.
Coming up. I'll slow up for you.
Okay, it looks like there's a gate on the other side that's closed. Well, I don't know if he might be able to make it through, you guys. If he does, don't worry. We'll stick with him.
He's gonna dump it right here. Yeah.
Okay, he just ate it.
But once again, the suspect cannot escape the helicopter and thermal imaging camera. Videotape from police cars and helicopters often show up in court as evidence. In this San Diego case, police officers saw a man in a Camaro run a stoplight, crash into and injure people in a minivan, and hit a man sitting near a bus stop. After his capture, the suspect was shown this video. He pleaded guilty before he ever went to court. The suspect preferred 25 years to life rather than face a judge or jury who would also see these images.
And he's with another.
When we return, criminals try desperately to escape the heat-seeking eye on Discovery Sunday next.
Whatever a good vacation sounds like to your family, you'll find it in Tennessee. For kids, it might be touring the biggest freshwater aquarium in the world, or making a splash on the log ride at one of our amusement parks. And for the grown-ups, there's always great music. All this and more in Tennessee. Sounds good to me. Call for your free vacation guide. 1-800-420-TENN. This is not a TV show. This could be you. What would happen to your family? Where would the money come from? For the mortgage, for your kids' education, to live on. But this is a commercial. There is something you can do. Life insurance. It isn't for the people who die. It's for the people who live. Chili's famous fajitas. Our legendary marinade. Grilled, fiery, and tender. Something special happens with every order. They're guaranteed to capture your attention and your appetite.
People frown about all sorts of things. Sometimes it's about money. But one thing that won't cost you a lot is the Lumina from Chevrolet. For starters, Lumina is the most affordable 6-passenger car in its class. It costs $2,000 less than a Taurus GL. And for a short time, Lumina also comes with 4.8% GMAC financing. For you, that's a lot less to worry about. So see your Chevy dealer for a Lumina and give your face a rest. The cars more Americans trust.
Coming up next, the art of fire investigation. Part science, part intuition. Find out how fire marshals piece together the evidence. Arson, clues in the ashes on Discovery Sunday. Coming up next on the Discovery Channel. Topical, timely, thorough. Discovery News. Explore the science behind the headlines. Fridays at 9 Eastern, 8 Central. Only on the Discovery Channel.
Premium television. Feel the drama, the action, and the excitement. It's uncut and commercial-free. Premium television with HBO, Showtime, Cinemax, the Movie Channel. Pick up the phone and try us now.
My staff is really chosen for people who really take good care of people and keep a happy atmosphere. And they actually like each other. So you can actually come to a place where people enjoy being. And we think that when people enjoy being somewhere, other people would like to be there too. And try to listen to our patients and give them what they would like to have. So if a patient comes in and if we can give it to them, they're going to receive that type of care here.
Call today for a free exam or second opinion.
We return to High Speed Chase. Explore.
Finding evidence is also a role for the heat-seeking camera and helicopter. During this chase, the suspects were seen by the ground units throwing a weapon from their vehicle. The helicopter returned to that area and found the weapon.
Clearing patrols open 13 traffic, east is open.
George 2. Blank. Empty your record anyway, go ahead and start it.
The warmth of the suspect's hand heated the weapon enough to be seen on the thermal image.
Run out there to just about even with the nose of the last car that's on to the west, and just south of that sidewalk.
Police now use camera platforms developed for broadcasters to get amazingly stable pictures from a great distance. This foot chase following a car chase was photographed. The police officer was later fired. This video was shot by the FLIR system, an electronically stabilized platform which holds the camera steady despite the constant vibration of a helicopter in flight. The results are remarkably sharp pictures taken at great distances. If the suspect does know he's being followed, police who have him in their sights can slow down to a safer speed.
101. 1986 Cadillac, 4-door.
Okay, partner, let's do it. Driver, put both hands on the windshield.
This is a textbook ending of a high-speed chase at the Los Angeles Police Academy. The suspect willingly cooperates.
All the way up.
Police are now taught that both the officer and the suspect can succumb to post-high-speed chase syndrome. The syndrome is marked by an overwhelming desire to fight or run.
Okay, drop them on the ground.
During a drawn-out pursuit, adrenaline levels soar beyond those of soldiers and pilots in combat. The body's chemicals are constantly ordering it to fight. The adrenaline overload impairs hand-eye coordination and the ability to drive. It also impairs judgment, making an officer more prone to a violent reaction.
There's a significant amount of adrenaline that gets pumped into the body.
which enables a person to respond physically to the demands of a threatening situation, and essentially prepares them to run or to fight. And it results in tunnel vision, to where they're focused solely on the threatening object that's in front of them. They block out all the other things. They may not hear other kinds of things going on. They're just focused essentially on what's going on ahead and in front of them.
In the infamous Riverside County incident in California, the police officers did not even notice that helicopters were photographing them. One police officer was fired. The other was transferred and is being trained as a police helicopter observer.
Down the street.
Ron Moen, the LAPD Driving Academy's chief instructor.
You know what we have? It is called contempt of cop. Contempt of cop. How dare somebody run for me when I am in my black and white, and I'm in my uniform, and I've got this badge that says police officer. How dare they take off from me? And what happens is you start to become angry. When the anger is inside of you, it's real easy for it to get out of control, and you'll find yourself taking that person to the ground harder than you need to.
While the severe emotional toll is a constant, sometimes the chase exacts the ultimate price.
When we return, after the chase, police must fight their own emotional backlash from the struggle of the quest. On Discovery Sunday next.
The Land Rover Discovery can take you just about anywhere in the world. So do pay attention.
They meet every weekend on these hallowed and verdant fields. These weekend warriors, garden variety gladiators versus Mother Nature. It is a battle ultimately decided by power.
At the Home Depot, you'll find more of the best brands of power equipment for your lawn and garden.
Out here, only the strong survive.
Relax. You are now entering a stress-free zone. A free breakfast will be prepared for you daily. You will rest in a comfortable 2-room suite. Your satisfaction is guaranteed. Unwind with evening beverages and enjoy yourself here, because eventually you'll have to go back out there. Embassy Suites, twice the hotel. Call 1-800-EMBASSY.
Now, Qantas invites you to the Great Barrier Reef in Melbourne, Australia for just $1,495 round trip, including hotel.
So why don't you pop on down?
You'll feel enriched by the culture of Melbourne and absolutely amazed at Queensland's Great Barrier Reef. Just call 800-KOALA-23 or your travel agent for more on this and other Qantas collection packages. Call now and you'll also get a free day cruise to the Great Barrier Reef.
Australia's a different world, but believe me, it's closer than you think.
Coming up next,
The art of fire investigation, part science, part intuition. Find out how fire marshals piece together the evidence. Arson, Clues in the Ashes on Discovery Sunday. Coming up next on the Discovery Channel. Go behind the scenes into the FBI's crime lab and meet the men and women who push science to its limits to put killers behind bars. The New Detectives. Tuesday at 9 Eastern, 8 Central on the Discovery Channel. Explore your world.
Oh. Why are fish always so darn bony?
Not all fish are bony. Sharks just have cartilage, and they'll eat almost anything. Sharks have even been found with dogs in their stomachs. The tiger shark can lose over 5,000 teeth a year as it shreds its helpless prey. The epaulet shark is a bottom feeder, scrounging its food off the ocean floor.
Where does he come up with this stuff?
Now, back to high-speed chase.
Police chiefs expect phone calls in the middle of the night, and they are prepared for bad news.
I was home sleeping when
But Chief Thomas Murphy of Garfield Heights, Ohio, never expected to hear this.
one of our cars was in a pursuit on the Cleveland borderline, and to avoid a vehicle that had turned in front of them, they swerved and struck a utility pole. And as what he told me on the phone, they're both dead, Chief, they're both dead. The last transmission that the officers had was about notifying the Cleveland helicopter if it was up. That was the last transmission, and there was nothing. And the dispatcher kept calling back, to the car number, what's your location, what's the status of this chase, and it's this eerie quiet, there's nothing.
This scene is repeated at least twice a week. A 6-mile funeral procession for Deputy John Cregan weaves its way through Orange County, Florida. Officer Cregan was standing next to his police car at a roadblock, trying to stop an 18-year-old suspect who was driving a stolen pickup truck and fleeing police.
And it was a brutal scene. It was horrible. I just couldn't believe the man didn't stop. He didn't touch his brakes, didn't touch nothing, just kept on going. And I would say he was running between 80 to 100 mile an hour. Like I said, I drive a truck, so I'm a pretty good judge of speed. And I say between 80 to 100 mile an hour, and he hit this man and just kept on going. Sad. Hate to see it. You can't believe people are that brutal and that won't stop, I guess it happens all the time.
The suspect was later shot and is paralyzed from the neck down. Cregan left a wife and 3 sons, ages 10, 12, and 14.
In pursuit driving, in high-speed chase training, most of the time the training is simply mechanical in how to handle the car. It's technical training. The values that go into the firearms training are not there.
A few years ago, post-high-speed chase syndrome was not part of police vocabulary. But while awareness of the syndrome has improved, few police officers are trained to cope with it.
I think that this discussion needs to be done openly, where police officers are able to talk one-on-one with each other, just how far we as individual police officers want to take a vehicle pursuit, and really have a change in mindset where police officers don't feel that if somebody runs from you, you got to catch them no matter what.
We have within us the desire to do what is right. No matter what incident you see out there where an officer loses control, internally, most law enforcement officers have a compelling need to do what is right. And when we expose our weaknesses, it's in an attempt to modify our own behavior and say, yeah, you're right, we're doing some things that are wrong out there. How do we get back to where we want to be, or how do we progress to where we want to be?
There are a growing number of cities which now ban or highly restrict police chases. But bans and constraints do not solve this dilemma.
It's etched in history. The bad guy runs, the good guy goes after him. Whether it's on foot, on horseback, or what, this is kind of what's always been done.
Police officers do not want to give fleeing drivers the freedom to floor it, knowing that they will not be pursued. The solution lies in the perfect piece of technology, one that could get drunk or reckless drivers off the road and render the high-speed chase obsolete. But so far, that technology remains out of reach.
We need to rethink our personal values and tactics in driving a car, and how far are you willing to jeopardize your life and the life of others.
For now, police must perform a delicate balancing act. The decision to chase rests on the officer at the scene and relies on his judgment, background, and his experience. If we ask police officers to make that decision and take that risk, we owe it to them and to ourselves to see that they are equipped with the best tools possible to make that critical call.
Next, as Discovery Sunday continues, burning out of control, and it was no accident. But how did it happen? And how do you solve a crime when the only clues are bits of charred wire, ruins, and ash? Go inside the investigation with the experts who put the pieces together. How hot can it be? Find out next. Arson, Clues in the Ashes. As Discovery Sunday continues next on the Discovery Channel. Explore your world.
New York City is one of the busiest cities in the world for practically everything, including arson.
Okay, he was at a club. Somebody threw a match in the back of his shirt. Oh, I gotta get a different line of work here.
Each year, over 10,000 fires here need investigating. Almost half turn out to be arson.
Probably, yeah. Partial prints right there. That's your boy there, Ron.
The base at 16 Hooper Street in Brooklyn is one of the key command centers in the effort to distinguish between fires that started accidentally and those that did not. This is where the city's toughest cases end up.
Well, it's the busiest fire department in the world. I guess that makes us the busiest fire investigators in the world. I think the biggest misconception about fire marshals is that we inspect buildings. I don't think anybody in the city realizes that we're police officers, that yes, we're crazy firefighters and we carry guns. That's who investigates the crime of arson in New York.
Face piece guy. Was this individual wearing a face piece with that degree of burn?
Today, they're working on a fire that troubles them more than most. The case involves the death of a fireman, one of their own.
We can't place any of the residents.
It happened during a blaze in a 6-story apartment building in Brooklyn. The marshal's job is to find out how it happened and why.
5 minutes, after that room flashed, you had a real problem. Okay, I'm sure you're all familiar with the particular room in which the victim was found, correct? The firefighter is found over here. At some time, the ceiling fell while that fireman was in that room. We believe that fire had already spread into the cockloft. The fireman had come in here, went into this room in an attempt to make a search, and got caught in this room. Somehow this door closed on him.
Firefighters are trained to be careful. They know how to get into a burning building and how to get out. When a firefighter doesn't get out, the fire marshals want to know why. The answers lie buried in the rubble of the Brooklyn apartment where the firefighter died.
People think they look at a fire and they just see a total one burned out, destroyed mess. I guess it is a bit of an art to be able to decipher, read the fire. Even if a building is reduced to ashen room, there's always something there. There's something to build upon, whether it be a pattern, structural members, or bodies, for that matter.
Fire investigators always trace a fire backwards, from the indicators of the least burned area to the place where the fire was most intense, and presumably the point of origin.
what's the remains of this closet over here. We have a heavy charring on the outside. We have less charring on the inside. It starts to give us some idea of the direction of fire travel. Also, the floor here is relatively unaffected, and the floor in here has been completely cleaned and burned away.
The fact the brick is so clean, what happens is the heat rise is such that it raises the molecular activity, and nothing really will adhere to it. As opposed, if you look at that wall, that's a cooler. It shows it's a cooler fire. Absolutely deadly, but cooler. Because there's too much going on at the same time.
Every fire tells a story. With a careful reading of the clues, the marshals can tell how hot the fire was at different levels.
This aluminum window frame is melted. It means we had a high heat condition down this low at some point in the fire.
Let's take it.
We'll say it was up this high.
That's 1,220 degrees right there. What would you think? What's the degrees down at this level?
Yeah,
I mean, we got some serious char in here.
Right. We have a low burn all the way around the room. And the buildup of heat in this room is so intense that you get this low burn.
Tell you the truth, I don't want to...
don't speculate on
I don't want to speculate. I'm giving you numbers. I know up here this was dancing.
All the signs indicate a room totally engulfed in flames. Fire in its most extreme condition. A flashover.
Superheated gas is built up at ceiling level, and it rolls across the ceiling. There's these superheated gases. And what happens is as the room reaches flashover, which would be approximately 1100 degrees, all combustibles in that room will ignite at once. Those combustibles, if they include a human being will also combust.
Heat rises. Fires burn upward. So if there's charring down the walls and across the floor, it might mean a flammable liquid was involved. And that usually means arson. Propellants leave a visible trace called a pore pattern, a charred edge where the heat was more intense than the rest of the burn. There are pore patterns in this room, but that doesn't necessarily mean it was arson.
Each fire is so different and unique in its own sense. I mean, a novice or a guy with less experience may jump on that and say, you got an arson. Well, maybe you don't have an arson. Maybe you have, maybe you have an accident.
The marshals suspect that the pore patterns may have been caused by tar melting down from the roof. Using a forensic technique known as gas chromatography, it's possible to produce a detailed analysis of any accelerant. Jet fuel, lacquer thinner, lighter fluid, or tar, each leaves a unique fingerprint.
Gasoline contains somewhere between 100 and 200 different components. We think of it as a single liquid, but it's a very complex mixture. Gas chromatography allows us to separate those all out, and in this case we're looking at molecules and sorting them out on the basis of their size.
Almost invariably, there is some of the accelerant left, possibly highly evaporated, but still enough for us to analyze. We can analyze anywhere from 1 part to 100 parts per million.
In this case, the cause of the pore patterns in the Brooklyn apartment turns out to be common roofing tar. Their hunch was right. This fire wasn't started with a flammable liquid. The investigators still don't know what happened to the firefighter who died here in this room. Somehow he got trapped. Safety lay just beyond the door.
What happens here is that you have a tremendous amount of heat banking down in this room. It's a compartmentalized fire. This door was closed, and we can tell that because of the clear area right here. There's a clear demarcation from the heat damage to the wood on this side and on this side. Somehow, this door became closed during the fire.
Reconstructing the room as it was before the fire is critical to discovering what happened just after the fire blazed.
You got to understand all of this.
During the effort to put out the fire, a cabinet door ended up in the debris of an adjoining room.
Yeah, this looks like something. Okay, let's see this.
It turns out to be the clue that solves the mystery.
Watch yourself. All right. If you look at the burn on the edges of this wood, that rounding is consistent with this piece broken as the fire is coming downward, right? Something or someone opened this and snapped it, and it broke and ended up down here somewhere. That fire lapped around, correct, Tom?
Yeah.
The interesting point is here is we have this completely square pattern here that doesn't fit into this puzzle right now. What it does tell us is at the time of the fire, there was something against here protecting this area of the cabinet. You ready to go, guy? Helmet on. What I'm going to want you to do now is get on your knees. All right, here we go. That coincides right there with that protected area. This protected area here and this protected area here. And just lift your back up on this side a little bit more. Even the knob actually fits right in there. Everything fits right in here perfectly. We look at the head. And we got the helmet coming right across here. We got a pattern this way. Lift your head up just slightly. Look at this. We've got a perfect match here. Okay, you can stand up. Let's get that square pattern taken care of. Look at this. Bingo. How about it? When you have difficulty opening a door, what do? You search behind the door. You search behind the door. You search behind the door, and what he may have done in doing so is go like this, boom. He knocked the door open. Proceeds in this direction. What's the next thing you do as a fireman? Check the bed. Here's the bed. Where's the bed, right? Boom. Get the bed underneath, pull the mattress up, look under, make you in. Now the heat conditions are getting so bad. He comes back. This door is still open in this direction, and however this is open, that's a very good point. He felt this thinking that's the door. It's at the same angle that the door would have been at. Exactly. It's a really good point. That's right. If this door is open this way, he catches the edge. Thinking that it's this door. Bam, he hits it. The piece was like this. Sure. And it's conceivable that this blocks the door from opening. Yeah. That piece of wood shocked the door. Maybe the whole thing took 60 seconds from the time the heat started to bank down in his room. He's trying to work this thing, the heat comes down, he's gone. That's how rapid that would have happened.
Fire, the unpredictable killer, has claimed another of New York's bravest. One of over 700 firefighters to die in the city's history.
Coming up, can fingerprints survive a fire? Investigators sift through the ashes to uncover the arsonist's identity and motive on Discovery Sunday next.
This program is brought to you in part by Toyota and their full line of quality cars and trucks.
It moves with grace, effortless. It is the American-built flagship of Toyota. With a spacious interior and all the roominess of an endless horizon. Experience the tranquility
never been anything like this before. We have a new lens at Lens Crafters called Durathin. Compared to regular lenses, Durathins are lighter, they're thinner, they're 10 times more impact resistant, and almost twice as scratch resistant. You won't find Durathins anywhere else. And at Lens Crafters, we can make them in about an hour. They're comfortable, they're safe, they're durable. They let me help people to see better.
Much more comfortable.
When I know that they are truly, truly satisfied and happy, it is the best part of the day.
New Durathins, only at Lens Crafters.
H&R Block works to get you every penny you have coming. And those pennies can really add up.
Someone to watch over me.
Photos capture the memories and the important times of our lives. But as days fade, the memories don't have to disappear. Way back there in 1994, when a 500-year flood came through and destroyed my home, I was able to canoe over to the house, hoping to find my tomcat. As I got back to my home and the water had gone down, I wandered around sadly, and I saw in a pile of muck one 8mm movie roll. I guess we called them home movies back then. After that 1994 flood, Bo Tardy of Space City Sprockets was able to resurrect that one roll of film, which happened to be my wedding day. Bo was able to collect those memories from that roll of film. He managed to clean it, stretch it out, let it dry, clean it again, re-spool it, and then put it back into digital form. But it brings back precious memories to me now. We collect images as we move along in life. Photos from grandparents, maybe an old Kodak Brownie, our parents with Polaroids and Super 8 films. As time marches on, technology changes. That old movie projector is history, along with the Polaroids, 35mm cameras, and prints, all now labeled and boxed in a closet. But those images and memories can be preserved and brought back to life. It takes knowledge, care, and equipment, but even the most ancient films can be converted to digital images and enjoyed with their original quality. Do you have VHS tapes or old film reels that you can't watch anymore? Let Space City Sprockets transfer those movies for you.
Discovery News. Explore the science behind the headlines. Only on the Discovery Channel. In an era where killers have become smarter and their crimes leave fewer clues, police have turned to science for help. Go behind the scenes into the FBI's crime lab and meet the men and women who solve the unsolvable. Specializing in human decay and forensic toxicology, they push science to its limits to put killers behind bars. Find out how. The New Detectives. Tuesday at 9 Eastern, 8 Central on the Discovery Channel. Explore your world.
About the same money per month, you can own a beautiful 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage suburban home. Take advantage of low interest rates and big tax benefits. You can own a new suburban home in Sherwood Trails, Kingwood for under $750 per month. The Coral model, priced from $73,950, gives you privacy, security, and value. Call 440-2727 for information and directions to a suburban community near you. Suburban Homes, building Houston for over 50 years.
Has your family outgrown your home? Moving's not the only option. Hi, I'm Travis Jenkins with Alltech, the room addition and remodeling experts in Kingwood. We take the time to help design the perfect addition that will work well with your present structure and your lifestyle. By using top quality materials and highly skilled craftsmen, we meet and exceed our customers' expectations. When a good job matters, call Alltech.
Call Alltech today, 360-7277.
100.
Behind every fire investigation, there's an entire body of scientific research devoted to understanding fire. That effort began more than 100 years ago, when it was still possible for a whole city to go up in flames. The disastrous Baltimore fire of 1904 might have been averted if fire companies had standardized hoses to connect to the city's water supply. Instead, firemen stood by helplessly as the city burned. Over the years, scientists have burned their way through all kinds of new products and materials, even entire buildings, in an effort to understand the dynamics of fire.
Well, knowing about fire is probably one of the major challenges, and we've made enormous gains in learning about fire just in the past 30 years. In many respects, because the technology of appreciating the very fast, very faint, very transitory events that actually make a fire happen are actually capturable by the technology we have today.
As any school kid knows, fuel, oxygen, and heat form the fire triangle. Today, we've come to understand there's a fourth element, the chain reaction. It's what makes a fire self-sustaining. With enough fuel and oxygen, the chain reaction can turn a child's bedroom into a charred-out husk in a matter of minutes. Firefighters call this violent inferno a flashover, and they're still trying to understand how it happens.
We hope to see flashover here sometime between 2 and 4 minutes, depending on how rapidly the fire develops. We can only hold flashover.
During this test, scientists at the National Institute for Standards and Technology will try to determine exactly when flashover conditions will result. This fire will be studied in exacting detail. Sensors will be measuring heat and gas levels from floor to ceiling. Specially designed cameras will keep recording even in extreme temperatures. Every single item in the room, furnishings, fixtures, even the paint on the walls, is potential fuel. All of it must be weighed and entered into the calculations. The test is a typical fire scenario. A child playing with matches. Investigators want to know how long it takes for the bedroom to reach flashover, a critical threshold for determining survivability.
Gary, start the data. Ignition. Okay, we have ignition of the stuffed toys on the floor under the bed.
5 seconds into the test, the smoke alarm goes off.
We've got full involvement of both layers of the bunk bed. We've got the drop down on the floor.
At 1 minute and 15 seconds, toxic smoke has dropped to within a few feet of the floor.
I can see some flames just coming out of the doorway weakly in the black smoke. We're coming up on 2 minutes. We have ceiling temperatures well over 600 degrees C. Flames coming out of the doorway. We have the smoke and the flames banked down to about a foot above the floor in the doorway.
At 2 minutes 10 seconds, the room reaches the flashover point.
We're over 600 degrees C. We've got the flashover conditions. Okay, we're at 3 minutes. Firefighters, go.
Less than a minute later, it's all over.
Doug, we started suppression.
I went downstairs, I went into the kitchen, I said, what's going on, what's going on? Someone said,
Another day, another code 1041. Another suspicious fire. This time, in an apartment in Lower Manhattan. The marshals arrive with their usual list of unanswered questions.
Where are the hot spots in this fire? Where is the seat of the fire? What color is the smoke? The color of the flames? Where are the firefighters operating? By looking at the scene from the exterior as fire operations are being conducted, do we have more than one fire? There's also an intuitive sense. They're saying, well, what time is it in the morning? Who owns this building? What type of people are here? Something's not right with this picture.
The firefighters themselves are an important source of information. They'll know the time of the alarm, whether their entry was blocked or not, and if there's something unusual about the fire, or, in this case, 5 separate fires.
You have 5 separate fires in the basement?
In the building.
In the building? At different locations?
Yes, sir. 1 in the elevator.
2.
In the basement.
Basement. 3.
3 is in the sub-basement.
Sub-basement. 4.
In fact, if what he's saying is true, it's not accidental. Absolutely not. How do you get 5? What do you get? 5 lightning strikes in a basement at one time? Give me a break. Well, in a place like that, you don't know what you're going to see around the next corner. You're just kind of trying to unravel a mystery here. Let's find out what's going on. You may find other fires. You may find a body. You know, who knows what you're going to find.
Up the flight of stairs.
Hey, Mike, you gotta get back out of here?
Yeah, no problem.
This time, it's clear. There are a series of small, hastily set fires, so finding a point of origin isn't the problem.
We got another fire also up.
But is there any evidence, trace evidence, that could help find a suspect?
Trace evidence we sometimes jokingly refer to as everything that doesn't bleed or shoot at a crime scene. It normally includes things like glass, hairs, fibers, sometimes fingerprints. The truth of the matter is that while the fire destroys a lot of the physical evidence, we're still able to sometimes link scenes with people or people with scenes, and doing it with nothing spread thin, because it's all small and it's usually completely invisible.
This time, there is something that may provide a lead. Next to one of the fires, they find a burnt matchbook.
There's a matchbook there, and there's a matchbook there, and there's also, in the debris, we have a match head.
As strange as it seems, even a matchbook covered with soot can yield an identifiable fingerprint. Arson evidence comes from all over the East Coast to the ATF's National Laboratory. Specialists here use the latest techniques to search for fingerprints.
I think by my last count there were something like 38 different ways of recovering latent fingerprints from crime scene materials. And things that have been contaminated with soot or water now don't pose the same kind of problems that they once did.
Common sense tells us that fingerprints can't survive a fire. But in this case, common sense is wrong. In fact, flames can sometimes actually fix fingerprints to a surface.
The availability of the new light sources gives us a lot of different choices. Rather than just 1 or 2 very intense wavelengths that we could get from lasers, we now have 5 or 6 different wavelengths, and we can actually tune some of them to actually get an absolute split between the background and the fingerprint residue, and promoting that difference in contrast.
We've got a fire back here. Door's locked from the inside. The firemen say that they had a forced entry here, but the door's locked from the inside, but there's access via another stair. Well, every tenant can come down here. They all have keys.
The glass patterns, as well as the locked doors, seem to indicate this was an inside job.
The bathroom down here.
Yeah, but the guy says nobody's been here in 10 years. That's not true.
Several of the fires were set just outside an illegal apartment in a remote corner of the basement. The investigators begin to wonder if this was a vindictive arson,
Lift that mattress up for the hell of
a crime of passion.
Anything under the mattress. Oh. What do you got?
Easy now, easy. Come on.
All right, it's safe to say this is a male, huh? It's obvious somebody who's familiar with the building. Somebody who knows how to get in and out of this place. And it may be that these guys are targeted because they set a fire down here in the sub-basement, then they go up and do all those other fires right outside that room. There could be a personal nature to these fires. We'll have to find out. It's going to require quite a bit of interviews.
A co-worker of the intended target might have some answers.
Yeah, you ever had any fires in a building before?
No. This is our first.
Does Butch have a girlfriend? What time was it you left? 5 o'clock?
5, 6.
And what was he still doing here?
What he was doing, let me just think about it.
Let me ask you this then.
Yeah, let me start there.
Sorry.
Butch has a wife.
Yeah, and 2 kids.
And 2 kids.
Yeah.
Do they ever come down the basement?
No, nothing I know.
But Butch has a girlfriend.
Okay,
wait, let's take it. And if that's the case, is it possible? Because I see that he has magazines down there.
Yeah,
it's possible. That's all I want to know.
Could I deny that a young man having a girlfriend?
Okay.
I mean, I can. That is asking too much. I cannot answer you that because I don't know him that far. That close.
Well, if you don't know him that well, then you don't know if he brings people down here.
I worked here for so many years.
All right. Well, apparently you've worked here for so many years. You've got a problem with somebody. And you know. Somebody targeted the building tonight with a series of fires. And he could do it again and again.
Arson is an act of violence. Fire marshals and lab specialists can usually tell us how and where a fire started, and in the case of arson, they can often tell us who lit the match. But the hardest question of all to answer is why. Unless the fire was set to cover up evidence of other crimes, including murder. Finding a body in the ashes forces an investigation in a whole new direction.
When we return, bodies in the ashes. Investigators inspect corpses to determine a cause. On Discovery Sunday next.
Never seen the minivan take that road.
I wouldn't take that road in the minivan.
They say it has traction control. I heard it can run over a nail, not get a flat. Never heard of a minivan that can do that.
Maybe it's not really a minivan.
Introducing the rugged new Montana from Pontiac. Life is more exciting in Montana.
This is not a TV show. This could be you. What would happen to your family? Where would the money come from? For the mortgage, for your kids' education, to live on. But this is a commercial. There is something you can do. Life insurance. It isn't for the people who die. It's for the people who live.
Life can be hard. TV should be easy. And with the new Encore Movie Networks, it's as easy as it gets. You can choose from 7 premium movie channels, each with a different theme. A channel that shows only Westerns. We've got an action channel. All action, 24 hours a day. A channel that's all love stories. A channel that's all true stories. A channel that plays only hit movies. There's even Wham, a great kids channel. And a spine-tingling mystery channel. All commercial-free 24 hours a day. To get all 7 channels, call 1-800-DIRECTV or call your cable operator or Prime Star and keep calling until they carry all of them. The new Encore Movie Network. Just what you're in the mood for.
Next, victims raise awareness about violent crimes on Justice Files. And just how amazing are elephants? Find out on Ultimate Guide to Elephants. Then spend a night on patrol. High-speed chase on Discovery Sunday. Tonight on the Discovery Channel. Topical, timely, thorough. Discovery News. Explore the science behind the headlines. Fridays at 9 Eastern, 8 Central. Only on the Discovery Channel.
Fire is the 3rd leading cause of accidental death in the U.S., claiming close to 6,000 victims each year. But when a body is recovered at a fire scene, there's always the chance that the victim's death wasn't accidental, and that means a trip to the morgue and a talk with the medical examiner.
You never want to make a call on a fire.
without having all the pieces. You may think it's smoking carelessness in bed, and this guy ends up with 5 bullets in him.
This time, the body of a child was found in the ashes of a Queens apartment fire.
Our investigation disclosed
The marshals want to know how he died.
direction. Is that consistent with the burns on the body?
Oh, yes.
The child apparently had run over to a bed, covered himself with a blanket, and then the fire vented over him out the window. Now, are the burns consistent on this victim with that kind of fire movement? Yes, it was. But we did have to account for the blood on the protected side of the victim's head. Right, of the head that's faced away from the fire, the protected side of the head. Now, our investigation didn't reveal any signs of external trauma. What did your
No, there was no external trauma. These are all post-mortem accumulation of blood, no, causing what looks like a trauma.
As a former firefighter, it was always our position to rescue children, and it was always this great sense of satisfaction when you rescued somebody from a fire. But now, to have to get down and look and examine, if instead of looking at that little baby, you see your own child, then it's going to affect you as an investigator. It's going to color your investigation from that point on. So what we do is we look at the body first as just another piece of evidence at the scene. And what we wanted just to make sure we understand this correctly, this splitting and exposure of the bone was also fire-induced?
Yes, all these fractures that you see in the wrist, the bending of the wrist, what we call the pugilistic attitude. It's almost like a boxer.
Right.
These are all because of the intense heat, because of the fact that the heat causes the muscles to contract.
Well, you know what I'm concerned with here? These breaks here in the bones in the arm here.
It looks very suspicious, but it is not. These are all because of the contractures of the muscles because of intense heat.
Okay. All right. And then we couple that with the carboxyhemoglobin level.
Yes. The carboxyhemoglobin level is the clincher, That means that this person was alive.
Well, that is even more interesting.
The autopsy shows the presence of carbon monoxide in the blood,
Of the fire movement.
which means this victim was breathing at the time of the fire. In this case, homicide is ruled out. People commit arson for any number of reasons. For thrills, for revenge, and more often, for money. On this night, a clothing store is burning in Chinatown. Above it is a fully occupied 8-story apartment. Since so many arsons turn out to be insurance scams, a business that's going up in flames usually raises suspicions. The arrival of the store owner gives the marshals a chance to question him
Let's go speak to this guy.
and try to determine if he has something to hide.
Let me ask you something. What time did you close up today? After 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
This ductwork that you have here, you see what I'm pointing to?
Yes.
Have you ever had a problem with it?
Never.
Never had a problem.
We don't turn it on.
And you don't turn it on?
No, it's an air conditioner. Why would we turn
You
it
didn't have it on today?
Now, had he intentionally set the fire, he would have been happy. Yeah, Marshal, we've had a lot of problems with that ductwork, and, it's quite possible. In fact, that's happened in the past. We've seen something smolder up there. The fact of the matter is, he didn't say that. He wasn't accepting our initial opinion of where that fire started, and was providing us with additional information which was beneficial to solving where the fire actually did indeed occur.
Come on. No, it wasn't in the ductwork. Here's what happened. I'll show you what happened. Where's Frankie? Frankie?
Yeah, one long.
Here's your light. There it is.
Oh, he's dead.
Right there. And what happens is, it generated enough heat to start a fire.
It wasn't on,
This is what caused your fire.
An accident. an electrical short in a light fixture that wasn't turned on, and a family business that's been in the neighborhood since 1916 will have to close its doors.
Hey, Sarge, yeah, that'll be done. We're leaving it.
When we return, a most mysterious fire starting from an unusual source on Discovery Sunday next.
When it comes to building a comfortable home, you certainly have your options. But making your home feel as good as it looks requires an essential. Ask for Tyvek Home Wrap from DuPont. It helps keep weather out, comfort in. And that's basic to better building.
Dad, good news, bad news. You switched to that bargain brand of paper and saved us $21 this year. Now, the bad news?
Don't tell your mother.
The last thing you want to worry about is paper jamming. That's why Union Camp created Great White recycled content paper. It's virtually worry-free, so it's as good for your business as it is for the environment. Great White, only from Union Camp. One less thing to worry about.
Stanley, I'm home.
Son, hide this.
You Americans work too hard.
If you ask me, you could use a holiday in a place that's made for it. Australia. Where summer's in December, just when you need it the most. For the winter, though, you need to throw in something a little warmer.
Hey, 2 weeks can fill the rest of your life with stories.
So why don't you pop on down? There's plenty of room. For a free Australian travel planner, ring us at 1-800-DOWN-UNDER.
Hey, it's not as far as you think.
Wouldn't you like to go someplace that felt really safe and secure? Where somebody was there to look out for you, help you find your way if you got lost.
This is OnStar. May I help you?
Unlock your doors by computer if you ever got locked out. Well, now there is a place. The brand new 97 DeVille by Cadillac with available OnStar system. Here now for the time of your life. See your Cadillac dealer today.
Victims raise awareness about violent crimes on Justice Files. And just how amazing are elephants? Find out on Ultimate Guide to Elephants. Then spend a night on patrol. High-speed chase on Discovery Sunday. Tonight on the Discovery Channel. Go behind the scenes into the FBI's crime lab and meet the men and women who push science to its limits to put killers behind bars. The New Detectives. Tuesday at 9 Eastern, 8 Central on the Discovery Channel. Explore your world.
People and keep a happy atmosphere, and they actually like each other, so you can actually come to a place where people enjoy being, and we think that when people enjoy being somewhere, other people would like to be there too. And try to listen to our patients and give them what they would like to have. So if a patient comes in and if we can give it to them, they're going to receive that type of care here.
Call today for a free exam or second opinion.
Dare to compare. If you're in the market to buy a new car or truck, you owe it to yourself to start by North Point Pontiac Buick GMC today. We have the largest selection of Pontiacs in North Houston, and we have absolutely more GMC trucks than anyone else in the area. In short, North Point has more than 400 new cars and trucks to choose from. And our commitment to you continues. It will cost you less than North Point in Kingwood, and that's a fact. So, what are you waiting for? North Point Pontiac Buick GMC, Highway 59 North, exit McClellan.
Call now.
The Brooklyn Navy Yard and another suspicious fire. A large warehouse filled with discount merchandise has gone up in flames. Arson seems a distinct possibility. But when the marshals enter the building, the clues lead in a different direction.
You know what we can do? We can look
to one of the strangest solutions to a fire in recent history. August 3rd, 1995. It had been hot and muggy for weeks. The 8-alarm blaze completely gutted the huge warehouse and posed an intriguing challenge to investigators. The fire seemed to have originated in a corner of the building's first floor, a huge area now covered with tons of melted rubber gloves. But the second floor was burned out as well. The first question the marshals had to answer was how the fire spread from one floor to the next, since it hadn't taken the most obvious path up the stairwell.
No indication of fire in the stairwell. There's no indication of fire in the stairwell. What we have here is old water damage and just natural aging of the building. And we can tell that the fire didn't extend out of that opening to the second and third floors. Is it possible that a second fire was set up there?
There were some pipes leading to the second floor, but they were quickly eliminated as a conduit. The fire had to have spread through something else.
So we got to come up with a hole here somewhere. Okay? Here we go. What's this? Here you go. There's your hole for the extension.
Gaps or spaces in a ceiling would allow a fire to travel quickly. But could a single 12-inch hole account for the severity of the burn on the second floor? The only way to find out is to dig.
Oh! I told you we never said there was a hole there. Are you okay? Terry found the hole. What we got here is a low burn around that hole. This is all palleted, and it's very low. Had the fire started up higher on one of these pallets or in a different area, you wouldn't have gotten that low burn at that location.
Before the fire, this level had been filled with inventory, stacked high on wood pallets and separated by narrow aisles. It was a recipe for disaster.
One of the walkways between the pallets extended directly over the hole, so you had a pyre effect. Had you set up the stock on the second floor to burn as a result of a fire extending through that hole, you could not have done it better.
An explainable, if uncommon, pathway for the fire had been discovered. Now the focus shifted to the first floor. What had caused the fire in the first place? There was no indication of an accidental cause, nor were there any of the telltale signs of arson. It was baffling. Finally, their attention was drawn to the huge pile of melted gloves.
You know, these things are still warm. Feel the difference in this one is in the bottom and on the top. Yeah. These things are generating their own heat as we stand here. And of course, you got a certain humidity and moisture condition. Open that up. That's clear on the outside. Anything on the inside? Here we go. Look at this. I'm going to show you something. You see the outside of this box is relatively untouched by fire. We pull this back. We look on the inside of these boxes. The whole inside of the box is burnt black. The gloves are self-combusting.
While the marshals are trying to convince themselves they're not crazy, the gloves are being examined at the ATF's National Laboratory. Patricia Panuto did the preliminary analysis.
Encountering a case of spontaneous heating in this type of material is pretty unusual. When they brought the evidence down, the first thing that I had an opportunity to see was melted black masses of gloves. So my first reaction was, yep, you guys are definitely barking up the right tree. What we intend to do with these gloves now is actually to see if we can reproduce this scenario. It's basically kind of a runaway chemical chain reaction.
Although the idea of spontaneous combustion seems far-fetched, the chemistry behind it is pretty straightforward. The gloves were made of a plastic that released microscopic levels of flammable vapor in the midsummer heat. The packaging around the gloves prevented the heat from dissipating. So pockets of the highly unstable vapors continued to react, getting hotter and hotter until they reached the point of ignition. When they burst into flame, the rest of the warehouse followed.
When we return, Tracing a fire's tragic path, investigators use computers to understand and stop this killer. On Discovery Sunday, next.
Himes understands that the simple act of petting a dog can make people healthier and happier. It's even been suggested that people who own dogs lead longer, fuller lives. Now, knowing what dogs do for you, wouldn't it be nice to do the same for them? You can, by feeding your dog Himes every day. It's more nutritious because its quality ingredients are more digestible. Himes dog food, good for life. From the Himes Company.
Every time your life changes, so do your taxes. Shouldn't you have someone who can help you pay less or get back more? Agent R. Block.
Hey, Randy, use an underarm motion.
Thanks, sir.
Owen Moore is an engineer in ergonomics at the Liberty Mutual Research Center. Owen figures ways folks can do their jobs better and safer. His team has saved the companies we insure millions.
Stan, vibrating devices can cause extremity numbness. Maybe there's another way.
Okay, Owen. Safer, more secure lives.
Yeah, maybe not.
That's the freedom of liberty. Liberty Mutual.
Relax. You are now entering a stress-free zone. A free breakfast will be prepared for you daily. You will rest in a comfortable 2-room suite. Your satisfaction is guaranteed. Unwind with evening beverages and enjoy yourself here, because eventually you'll have to go back out there. Embassy Suites, twice the hotel. Call 1-800-EMBASSY.
We saw a city built on hope and touched a wall that touched us back. We swam under a crystal waterfall hidden in the desert and explored mysteries that we had only read about. And we watched as children danced to melodies 2,000 years old. In Israel, we found something we didn't even know we were looking for. Ourselves. Israel. No one belongs here more than you.
Next, victims raise awareness about violent crimes on Justice Files. And just how amazing are elephants? Find out on Ultimate Guide to Elephants. Then spend a night on patrol. High-speed chase on Discovery Sunday. Tonight on the Discovery Channel. Go behind the scenes into the FBI's crime lab and meet the men and women who push science to its limits to put killers behind bars. The New Detectives. Tuesday at 9 Eastern, 8 Central on the Discovery Channel. Explore your world.
Where can you see animal programming 24 hours a day? Only on Animal Planet, the brand new cable network from the people who bring you the Discovery Channel. Each weeknight, join host Olivia Newton-John as we learn lessons about human life, wildlife, and our fragile environment on Animal Planet's Human Nature. If you don't have Animal Planet, then call your local cable or satellite company and ask them to add Animal Planet to your basic cable lineup.
Happyland Social Club in the Bronx. On March 25th, 1990, the club was packed with neighborhood patrons when someone set fire to the entrance. In the inferno that followed, 87 people died.
The smoke was so heavy you can't see anything. We were actually stepping on bodies downstairs before we realized that we had people in there, you know. Usually it's a party where everybody's shoulder to shoulder, dancing, having a good time. That's the way it was, and that's the way they died. It happened so fast, they just went right down the spot, on top of each other. It was really crowded.
Nearly everyone in the community lost a family member or friend. The man who confessed to setting the fire claimed he was just trying to teach his ex-girlfriend, a hat-check girl stationed near the club's entrance, a lesson. She got out.
Fire is absolutely there. It's a very serious weapon. Some people refer to it as the poor man's gun. A little bit of gasoline to a front door, lighted up, and 87 people lost their lives.
For the entire fire department, Happylands was an especially frustrating case. Almost immediately, they knew what caused the fire and where it started. They knew who did it and why. But as they examined every inch of the building, they began to suspect that nothing they could have done before, during, or after the fire would have changed what happened here. All that remained was to try to understand why the fire spread so quickly and why it had such tragic results. Ten years ago, that wouldn't have been possible. Today, with advances in computer modeling, it is.
The scientific aspect of the fire investigation is being changed in a number of ways. Primarily, one of the cutting-edge techniques now is computer modeling. Predictability of fire growth rates and fire dynamics and other scientific approaches are utilized by a lot of fire investigators throughout the country.
Computers are an ideal tool for handling the complexity of fire. Changes in temperature, the transfer of radiant heat to other surfaces, the movement of toxic gases through a structure, and the dynamics of smoke under different conditions. It's even possible to predict how a fire will spread if the database includes a precise measurement of everything present at a fire scene, from the thickness of the drywall to the type of varnish on the floor. That's the kind of information Walter Jones and Richard Bukowski fed into their computer when they were asked to analyze the fire at Happy Lands.
We were called the next day by the chief of the New York City Fire Department. What they were trying to do is determine what conditions led to this large life loss and what could be done practically to prevent this from happening in any of the other thousands of similar clubs that were operating on the edge of the law in New York City.
The clock was turned back to the moment the gasoline was thrown on the door. And a second-by-second account of how the fire swept through Happy Lands unfolds in the computer's calculations.
The fire was started by pouring 3/4 of a gallon of gasoline in the entryway, which within 10 seconds begins to become untenable, as indicated by the yellow and then the red color. For a short period of time, the door between the entryway and the main part of the building was closed, but a person came down to get a breath of fresh air and opened that door, saw the fire, ran through, and was severely burned. However, the door stayed open. This let the fire into the main part of the room. The fire spreads very rapidly, 20-25 seconds, into the first floor bar area, and it's pretty much entirely engulfed in flame from this gasoline spill.
10,000 100-watt light bulbs in a room, if you can imagine that. That's a 1 megawatt fire. The Happy Lands fire was about 10 times that.
Temperatures within 30 seconds in the second and third rooms are up to 500 and 200 degrees Celsius, climbing very rapidly as fire quickly involves the interior finish and the ceiling materials in the space.
This is called the interface height. That is the height of the smoke layer above the floor. What this is telling you is that the interface, the smoke layer, gets down below a meter. That means that unless people are really scrunching down, they will be cooked by the hot gases. And therefore, there was nowhere to go. They couldn't get out.
The yellow color now showing at 1:15 seconds on the second floor indicates that smoke and a lot of carbon monoxide began to make it up to the second floor level. This was the first indication that people on the second floor had that there was any problem.
At about this time, the club's sprinkler system on the second floor turned itself on. But there was no fire here, just superheated air that was rapidly losing its oxygen.
Conditions now are beginning to become serious in compartment 6. Changed to the red color at minute 25 seconds indicates that would then become a lethal condition. Victims would all have rather quickly become drowsy and passed out due to lack of oxygen and then succumbed rather quickly. Two minutes and 20 seconds after the initial ignition of the gasoline in the entryway, this would be about the time that the fire department would have been arriving. The process of knocking the fire down would only take about another minute, but as this indicates, by that time, all of the occupants on the second floor were already dead.
What the computer modeling reveals is that even a fire exit at the rear of the club wouldn't have stopped the tragedy from happening. Only a set of sprinklers on the initial flames would have saved the 87 people trapped in Happy Lands. The computer was too late to help them, but the detailed picture it provides might help someone else.
Well, fire investigation is a constantly evolving process. I think there's going to be more input from the scientific community. I think the testing is going to get much better. But I think that in the end, it's going to come down to the individual investigator in the field. You're going to have an investigator who's going to have that street scent, who's going to understand what's happening out there, who's going to be able to investigate the scene itself, but he's also going to have to know how to process his evidence, where to send that evidence, what kind of expertise to draw upon from lab technicians, people like that, the medical examiner, how to best use the resources available to him. And I think that's where the future is.
Physics and chemistry, art and science. This is the fire investigator's life. That and long hours and lots of driving. Another night, another 1041, another fire.
Next week, you know the story, have heard all the theories, but now the arguments are over because the facts are in. What really happened on April 15th, 1912? So many think they know, but now the most advanced science of its kind puts all the pieces together and solves one of the greatest mysteries of our time. The truth is revealed. The premiere of Titanic, Anatomy of a Disaster, next Sunday. But now it's Justice Files, next on the Discovery Channel. Next, victims raise awareness about violent crimes on Justice Files. And just how amazing are elephants? Find out on Ultimate Guide to Elephants. Then spend a night on patrol. High-speed chase on Discovery Sunday. Tonight on the Discovery Channel.
Rape. It is a violent and shocking crime. And it strikes with alarming frequency. 1987. A serial rapist drugs and attacks women. And they can't remember what happened to them. One courageous victim recalls it all and speaks out to catch him. 1980. A violent rape leaves its victim permanently blinded and near death. But her will to survive becomes an inspiration for women all over the country. 1986. A tough prosecutor encourages women to face their attackers in court. Meet the woman rapist's fear. 1986. A suspect is arrested in a brutal attack at a woman's home. For the first time, prosecutors convict the rapist with a high-tech forensic tool, genetic fingerprinting. We'll look back at cases that changed the law and the way we look at the crime of rape. And Professor Arthur Miller of the Harvard University Law School examines society's slow shift away from blaming the victim when we open the Justice Files. The statistics are shocking. There is a woman raped in the United States every 6 minutes. It is the ultimate degradation of women, a violent sexual violation. Yet its definition and its circumstances are hard to prove. But helping turn the tide against rapists are women who have made a difference by speaking out. And that will be our focus. We begin with a bizarre story from 1987 of a man who drugged and raped perhaps dozens of victims. Victims who often didn't remember what had happened to them. But when the drug failed to take hold on one of the women he attacked, she and a friend spoke out to catch a rapist.
In summer, motels like Allen's Acres are full, and it's hard to find a room in any of the towns known as the Hamptons. It was here at Allen's Acres that 3 young women from New York City spent a July weekend. According to a police report and statements by the women, this is what happened. 2 men came to their room on Sunday afternoon. One man they'd met at a disco the night before. The second man, who said his name was Richie, carried a plastic bag filled with hundreds of dollars worth of cocaine. But the cocaine was only the bait. Richie had another plastic bag of white powder, called it pharmaceutical cocaine, and said the women had never tried anything like it. He took the hollow tube of a Bic pen like this one, and he put it down in the bag. And he took the pen full of the powder and stuffed it in each of their nostrils and blew. One of the women said it felt like her head was about to come off. Another woman said the last thing she remembered was falling back on the bed and seeing one of the men come down on top of her. The third woman says she remembers finding herself lying on the bathroom floor, naked from the waist down. All of their money and jewelry in the room was missing. Beyond that, they weren't sure what had happened. This is Richie, the man the women say had the white powder. His full name, Richard Esposito, age 41. And this is the man who claims he saw the rape. We'll call him Angelo. He's serving time in a New York State prison, but agreed to talk to us if we concealed his identity.
Enormous difference there really is.
He was only a witness in the Hamptons, but 2 weeks later, he joined Richie in an even more brazen and bizarre act of rape. It starts here in the Sheraton Hotel at New York's LaGuardia Airport, in the disco. 2 women who lived nearby stopped for a drink on their way home from a night out. Unknowingly, they stepped into Richie's trap. They were young. One was still a student, the other just starting a career. They were well-dressed, attractive, and Richie was on them instantly. As always, Richie offered cocaine. The women, we'll call them Donna and Barbara, refused him. So Richie tried a different approach, insisting that they have a drink.
He kept asking us if we wanted a drink. Constantly. Do you want a drink? Come on, girls, have a drink. Just one.
One would be enough. The drink came laced with Richie's white powder.
It got to the point where I couldn't feel the ground. I mean, I knew I was stepping because I could see through peripheral vision that I was moving, but I couldn't feel the ground. And I actually had to hold the wall and kind of hold myself up by using it. And I swear, I almost felt like I was 2 feet tall. And I was so scared. I was so scared.
And helpless, unable to resist as Richie and the others came up behind her, led her to their car, and then locked her inside.
With Donna locked in the car and barely able to move, Richie went after Barbara. He took her to a different car in another corner of the parking lot.
This is where we were raped, in the parking lot. And it was just like they were just running from one car to the next, playing these games with us. And there was nothing we could do about it. I mean, we were totally helpless. I remember screaming, but there was no sound coming out of my mouth.
That's all Barbara remembers. As a last act, Richie took her gold and diamond jewelry. Then the 3 rapists abandoned her. They were through with Barbara. But they had plans for Donna. They ended up at another of Richie's favorite spots, a motel the men called Cousin Andrea's.
They dragged me into this room, and they laid me on the bed. Anything they wanted, they did to me. And I couldn't do anything about it. Absolutely nothing, because, God damn it, if I could, I would have.
They kept her at the motel for nearly 2 hours. Finally, at 4 in the morning, Donna's mother, standing by the front door of her house, waiting, saw a car come down the block and stop.
I fell on my knees, and the car took off, and then, looking at my house, I swear it was like looking at a temple. I thought I would never see that house again. It was like, oh my God, it's over. And I'm home. I couldn't believe I was home.
Tom Sullivan and Joe Sophia were the New York City detectives assigned to the case. From the start, they took it personally.
You see, we live in that neighborhood. I don't think Richie counted on that. We were born and raised in the same neighborhood as the victims. And I have 5 sisters, and Joe has sisters. And he might as well have done it to us and our family as to these girls.
Still, catching Richie came partly by accident. Richie was stopped for speeding in a nearby town, caught with a weapon and arrested. While checking local jails, Sullivan and Sophia discovered his name. They brought Richie back to New York for a police lineup. Even that didn't seem to faze him.
It was like a joke to him. Try and prove it. He just said, "I will prove it."
Richie was still counting on his secret weapon, the white powder. Because of it, his victims remembered only fragments of what happened. Donna's memory was clearer than Barbara's, but their story was still incomplete. To explain the story, Sullivan and Sophia knew they had to find the drug. That was the key. What they didn't know at first was the night Richie was stopped for speeding, the police officer found the drug on him. Luckily, the police officer wrote down the name of the drug. His report gave Sullivan and Sophia the answer they'd been looking for.
He said, "Wait a minute, what is this stuff?" Now we had a drug, we had a white powder, we didn't know what it was, and neither did anybody else. We didn't know what that drug was, so we looked a little bit further.
The drug, a fast-acting anesthetic, was widely used on the battlefields of Vietnam. But it's not often used as an anesthetic today because of side effects, like memory distortion, hallucinations, and nightmares. It is, however, routinely used on animals. Here at the Los Angeles Zoo, doctors use it to capture and immobilize all kinds of animals for medical treatment. Physically, animals and humans react identically to this drug. They become paralyzed, unable to respond or to resist.
They described to me classic symptoms, and they were sort of going in and out of consciousness. They were aware of certain things, and they were hallucinating on certain objects, and then there would be periods of gray areas to their memory. And that was so typical.
Typical, except that the rape was so clear in Donna's mind, too clear for having had large doses of a drug that blocks memory. Siegel was puzzled until he questioned Donna further.
As we were talking, I just blurred out that I've been on a cranberry juice diet. The guy he shot up, and he goes, "I can't believe you said that." And I'm like, "Why?" And he goes, "That's it. That's why you can remember so much." He goes, "That's an antidote."
Cranberry juice. As unbelievable as it sounds, ordinary cranberry juice helps solve this crime. It turns out that cranberry juice is a natural remedy for the overdose of certain drugs. One of them, the drug Richie was using. Dr. Siegel believes it was the cranberry juice in Donna's system that reduced the effects of the drug so she could remember much of what happened.
There could be, and this is a very chilling thought, that there could be a lot more victims out there who never had the benefit of cranberry juice to help them identify what was really going on.
He did it on an average at least once, twice a day for the 3 years that I've known him.
Drug and rape a woman?
Yes. It was the way he lived.
Because women spoke out, a vicious rapist is paying the price for his crimes. Richie Esposito was later found to be using an alias. His real name is Richard DeLellis, and as of 1992, he was behind bars in upstate New York, sentenced to 38 to 160 years.
When that jury foreman stood up and counted off 13 counts, guilty, 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 it was as if someone let the air out of a balloon with the ladies. Then the exhaustion set in. You could see the breath go out of their body, and their shoulders sag, and the tears start to come down, and it was finally over. And that, yes, somebody did give a damn.
The case still stands out for Detective Thomas Sullivan, one of the arresting officers. He says Richie might still be on the street if two of his victims hadn't had the courage to take him to court.
And if something like that happens to you, the best thing to do is to do something about it. We can't let...
did do it.
And we did, and that's more power to us, you know? and the real heroes that helped us through this.
In 1992, Barbara and Donna were still in New York City, moving on with their lives as young wives and mothers. Detective Sullivan stays in touch with them.
We exchange Christmas cards. In 24 years of police work, I don't get very many Christmas cards from the people we deal with, but it's nice.
Richie is known to have attacked at least 40 women in the neighborhood, but of the 14 interviewed by police, only 2 were willing to take the witness stand. Detective Sullivan points out that the system worked for them, but sympathizes with the hard choices that all rape victims face.
I can never tell a woman who comes forward that this is going to be easy. But I have to ask, if women do not come forward, what's the alternative? It can't be a silent crime. It cannot be.
When we come back, we'll meet a woman blinded and battered in a brutal rape case who has used her adversity to help thousands of others as the Justice Files continues.
Responsible. You never missed a school play. You remember everyone's birthday, including your father-in-law's. You never went on a golf weekend. With all due respect, ma'am, you're due. This is the Buick Riviera. You can get a supercharged engine. It's bigger than some minivans, but it only seats 4, so it's not the perfect family car. That's the point. The Buick Riviera. You're due. Definitely due.
So call your cable operator and say, I want to see Stars, a new movie channel. Because Stars has movies too big to miss.
I want to see Stars.
So call your cable operator at 1-800-758-5555 and keep calling until they carry Stars.
I want to see Stars.
Or you can order Stars on satellite. Call 1-800-PRIME-STAR or 1-800-DIRECT-TV.
This is so exciting.
Only the best movies become stars.
First the popcorn.
Not again.
I was a 98-pound weakling. Then I called 1-800-8888-TEX for the free Texas Travel Guide. It's swell. With over 270 pages, just lifting the Texas Travel Guide gives my spindly arms a workout. Everywhere I go, I carry the entire state of Texas with me. From the canyons of Big Bend to the big city to the world-famous Alamo. Fun times galore. And because I called 1-800-8888-TEX, I found the beaches where the people are friendly.
Howdy.
No more sand in the face for me.
For your free Texas travel guide, call 1-800-8888-TEX.
A gale force wind, it probably would be possible for an elephant to fly. You know, that might be where the airlines got the idea for in-flight peanuts.
Looking for elephant facts, not fiction? Watch The Ultimate Guide to Elephants, next on the Discovery Channel. In an era where killers have become smarter and their crimes leave fewer clues, police have turned to science for help. Go behind the scenes into the FBI's crime lab and meet the men and women who solve the unsolvable. Specializing in human decay and forensic toxicology, they push science to its limits to put killers behind bars. Find out how. The New Detectives. Tuesday at 9 Eastern, 8 Central on the Discovery Channel. Explore your world.
Where people watch the most exciting sport, the latest news and world events. The best entertainment, drama, and suspense television has to offer. It's all on cable, and you can be there too. BCS Cable Advertising can put you there. For the same cost as a small newspaper ad, you can advertise all week long on USA Network, ESPN, CNN, and more. Call BCS Cable Advertising today and find out what cable television can do for you.
Hey, you. Come feel the magic of premium television. Feel the drama, the action, and the excitement. It's uncut and commercial-free. television with HBO, Showtime, Cinemax, the movie channel. Pick up the phone and try us now.
941.
When women speak out against rape, it's often at great personal cost. And for many, it is a trauma that can destroy their lives. We want you to meet a woman that we first visited in 1987, a victim of a terrible rape and assault, who has turned her tragedy into an inspiration for other women, one that has touched thousands of lives.
There's a girl, and her hair is all brownish red.
Oh, she's got long hair?
Well, it's shoulder length. She's sitting in a chair. The chair is all blue.
Kristen Komlos, at age 10, has seen her artwork displayed in school and at the county fair.
And here's her sleeves.
But her mother, Sharon, has to rely on her sense of feel to touch Kristen's and her other two children's lives.
Jump on.
Sharon has been blind since her daughter was 3 years old.
Let's give a patriot welcome to Sharon Komlos.
Sharon today is in demand as a speaker.
Where's the podium, Chris?
She supports her family in part through speaking to audiences all over the country.
It was on May 23rd, 1980. I was driving home, back to my children, back to my house. The same road I drove day in and day out.
She was unaware that on the dark road, a stranger driving an old car had been stalking her for 18 miles.
And it was not until we reached that point on the Florida Turnpike overpass where I could see behind me, and I noticed there was just one car behind me. One car with one headlight. The car started to pass me on the left, and there was nothing unusual about that. But the only thing I noticed was, as my eyes were straight ahead, I noticed out of the peripheral vision a flash of light.
One of the three shots destroyed her vision, leaving her permanently blinded.
I felt a pressure to my head, and I felt the horrible sensation of blood rushing down my face. I laid on the horn to draw attention to myself. That's when the man who offered help to me came to the window and said, "My God, who did this? I'll help you and I'll take you to the hospital." So I went with him inside. We walked up a flight of steps.
It was only then that she made the horrifying discovery. The man who had saved her on the highway was not an angel of mercy. They were not at a hospital. She had walked into his apartment.
The door slammed behind us. I was shoved down on a mattress that was low on the floor, and then I felt a pillow come down over my face. And I started to try to fight him off. The fighting more or less stopped as I pushed the pillow off, and I said, "Hey, wait a minute." And he said, "What's wrong?" I said, "You're suffocating me. I can't breathe." He said, "Oh, I'm sorry." And he took the pillow off my face.
The apology only heightened the insanity of her dilemma, and Sharon made the connection. The man attacking her was, in fact, the gunman who had been driving the old car. As Sharon was brutally raped, she felt pain for the first time that night.
It's the most humiliating aspect of the whole night of violence. And it's a demeaning crime. And for someone to violate you in such a fashion, it's just very demoralizing. So it was the most painful.
Throughout the night, she was stabbed repeatedly. In desperation, Sharon waited in the darkness, paralyzed with fear, wondering when her unseen captor would taunt or torture her again.
I knew it was morning because I was awakened to the sound of a plastic trash bag being unfolded over me. And then I heard soft sounds, those of my clothing being tossed into that plastic trash bag.
Sharon could feel the stab wound in her chest, and she knew the man thought she was dead. She lay still, hoping his mistake would give her a chance for survival.
And I just laid there, motionless. And then I heard a car start up, and it was a very familiar sound of that same vehicle that attempted to pass me on the roadway the night before. And when that vehicle, when its particular sound faded into the distance, I felt it was safe for me to get up and find a way to the outside.
She groped around the room, trying to find a door, a window, terrified that her attacker would return at any moment. It was 9 a.m. when Charlie Greenwood happened to turn down a side street in Fort Lauderdale. He looked up at just the right moment.
I see a woman naked from the waist up, spattered with blood and hair matted, and with a long-handled with a long-handled fishnet banging on the railing here, and screaming, "Help me, help me." She wanted me to keep talking to discern whether or not I was the same fella that had done this to her.
Greenwood took her to the nearest hospital. Vi Reagan was one of the first nurses to see Sharon.
Here's this girl, never lost her cool, and you're saying, my God, all this happened. How is she holding up? And her husband eventually came in, and I took him into the room. She was the comforter.
Where did you find out the bullet had struck and come out? And what damage had it done?
Well, it was really not until I was taken to the hospital I found out that the bullet had entered in the left side, right at the crease of the eye, just below the eyebrow. Sure, right here.
And it came out where?
And it came out right here. So it passed directly through both eyes.
While she recovered under intensive care, the police searched for the rapist. An address book was found in the apartment, which led them to the man Sharon had never seen. They chased down 33-year-old Thomas Rossi as he fled through the woods, carrying the plastic bag containing Sharon's bloodied clothes.
The trial in 1980 was traumatic for Sharon. Here, for the first time since the night of the assault, she had to confront her attacker. On the witness stand, she was told the jury was to her right. She knew Rossi was seated a few yards away, watching, as she described how he had kidnapped, raped, and attempted to murder her. The defense was trying to build an insanity plea, and her testimony was vital in refuting it. The jury, after just 90 minutes of deliberation, convicted Rossi, and he was sentenced to 104 years in prison. As news of her courage under adversity spread. To others, the adjustment after the attack, which came so naturally to Sharon, was a source of inspiration. With encouragement from a friend, she started telling her story publicly.
It's funny the way the life changes. Life twists and turns and takes different avenues. And it's the way you deal with it. You can't expect someone to come up to you, hand you all the answers to life on a silver platter. It doesn't work that way. The strength comes from within. And you have it. Each and every one of you have it. You just haven't either known how to find it or haven't been challenged enough.
After one speech, she was approached by a 13-year-old who was also a rape victim.
And she said, in fact, I could not even say the word rape. And she goes, you have finally given me the ability to go ahead and to put it in my past and just to let it stay there.
Is that rewarding to you?
Definitely. Most definitely. Especially when you can touch someone in that respect, where you can give them a different way of looking at what had happened to them and give them the strength to go on, the ability to see that life is worth living.
Sharon's campaign to share her experiences of inner strength and survival with others has continued since we first reported on her. Sharon still lives in Florida with her 3 children. She continues to appear all over the country and is constantly reminded that her experience was not an isolated one.
Every time I speak at a high school, there will be at least 2, not 1, but 2 young women who will come up to me who tell me that they were a victim of rape and that they never said the words before, they never told anyone about it, but they were attacked. Now that's sobering.
12 years after her own attack, Sharon tries to tell them that life does go on. She believes that reporting the crime and testifying in court can be an important part of the healing process. But the letter Sharon gets shows that we still have a long way to go in the way we treat victims of violent crime.
The general school of thought is, a victim has to do something in order to be a victim, when that's definitely not the case. Anyone can be a victim at any time, anywhere.
There are other victims who are speaking out reluctantly. In a moment, we'll meet a woman who has built her career on getting women to come forward and getting rapists behind bars. When the Justice Files continues.
Introducing the rugged new Montana from Pontiac. It's the only minivan with seating for 8. Life is more exciting in Montana.
same time tomorrow?
Hi, Chuck. Here's lunch.
Thanks.
How's business?
Not bad. Yours?
It's okay. Hey, what's that on your screen?
Oh, that. QuickBooks accounting software from the makers of Quicken. I called a toll-free number and got a free trial version.
My system works fine for me.
That's what I thought. But if you have bills to pay or customers who owe you money, you really ought to try this.
Yeah, I really don't have time to learn new software.
Well, if you can write a check, you can use QuickBooks. Answer a few questions, and it tailors itself to your business. Now I create invoices like these.
Yeah, but my business is so different from yours.
Ah, but that's what makes QuickBooks so great. It's the #1 software for any small business. It has accounts payable, accounts receivable, even payroll and inventory, and you never have to enter information twice. There's over 60 customizable reports that put you in control. Know if you're making or losing money.
Sounds pretty good. I'm going to get that free trial version.
Nothing to lose.
Call 1-888-437-7900. That's 1-888-437-7900.
In an era where killers have become smarter and their crimes leave fewer clues, police have turned to science for help. Go behind the scenes into the FBI's crime lab and meet the men and women who solve the unsolvable. Specializing in human decay and forensic toxicology, they push science to its limits to put killers behind bars. Find out how. The New Detectives. Tuesday at 9 Eastern, 8 Central on the Discovery Channel. Explore your world.
The first human clone may have been by satellite.
From the Discovery Channel, the world leader in science and technology, and from ABC News, the acclaimed worldwide news organization, comes a powerful weekly newscast. Topical, timely, thorough. Discovery News. Explore the science behind the headlines. Fridays at 9 Eastern, 8 Central. Only on the Discovery Channel. Explore your world.
Said that a rape victim is actually victimized twice. First by the rapist, and then by a judicial system that can be insensitive, and in effect, puts a woman on trial at the same time as her attacker. Yet the only way that rapists can be brought to justice is when a victim speaks out. In this 1986 report, meet a prosecutor who goes after rapists by getting victims to come forward.
This is WYNS. Police on Manhattan's Upper East Side continue their search for the so-called silver gun rapist.
This is a problem that happens in every big city, in every small town, in every community in this country.
In New York City, it's Linda Fairstein's problem. From sex-related homicides to the sexual abuse of children, she prosecutes the cases. Fairstein runs the Manhattan District Attorney's Sex Crimes Unit.
I thought I would ask for some help from you on the Midtown rapist.
It's Fairstein's job to interview the victims of a crime rarely witnessed, and at age 39, this Vassar-educated product of the suburbs has probably come face-to-face with more rapists than any woman in the country.
This is a 16-year-old named Malik Miller.
When a suspect is arrested in a sex crime investigation, no matter what time it is, Fairstein is called in. She often questions the suspect herself, one-on-one, with a videotape camera rolling.
How many times did you hit it? Did you hit it with your fist or with your open hand?
This supermarket delivery boy has just been arrested for robbing and sodomizing a 90-year-old woman. He says the tip she offered him wasn't enough.
It's difficult to believe that I'm sitting in the same room as someone who has committed these acts just hours earlier. Part of you wants to ask the real questions, like why did it happen and why did you do it, but you don't get to ask those questions.
Dr. Marvin Teicher, a respected dentist in Manhattan for 30 years, suspected of molesting patients under sedation.
One of the things that we've learned in this job is that it cuts across all social, racial, religious lines.
The woman in his chair has just received a combination of Valium and Seconal for the removal of an impacted tooth. What the dentist doesn't know is this patient is an undercover police officer, and the appointment is being videotaped. It's the first court order in the country authorizing a legal break-in for video surveillance.
Now he's completed the dental work, and within seconds, as you see, takes the towel off, and the tooth hasn't been out of her mouth a minute, and he's lifted her so that she's propped between his legs with her groin against his, and he's now got his arms, he had his arms briefly, now he's got his arms wrapped around her body, hugging her body actually to his.
The policewoman said not only did the dentist abuse her sexually, but he pulled the wrong tooth. Teicher was convicted and eventually lost his license.
Was there ever any question whether you had the stomach for this job?
Yes, it was not until working in the particular area that involved sex offenses that I came to realize what a gut you need to do it.
Fairstein's unit, the first of its kind in the country, was designed to address the needs of the victim. Staff interns and attorneys, mostly women, interview witnesses and police, investigating between 500 and 700 complaints each year.
My first role is to investigate. The stakes are very high. If somebody is convicted of this crime, he's going to go to jail for a long, long time. And that's got to be based on the truth, based on the facts, based on the evidence. It is not a game.
That toughness is what brings Fairstein her fair share of criticism. This is St. Luke's Roosevelt Hospital, home of the busiest rape crisis center in New York City, making it perhaps the busiest in the country, counseling more than 700 rape victims each year. The director of the clinic is one of those who says Fairstein is too hard on victims.
The cases that go to trial, you can almost be guaranteed that they're going to get a conviction. It's the 600 cases that never get anywhere.
Is that Fairstein's fault or the fault of the system?
It's Linda Fairstein's problem and the fault of the system. It's often called the second rape for someone to go through the legal process.
Fairstein's most controversial case involved a woman who lived in this neighborhood near Greenwich Village. She told police that a stranger broke through her apartment window, robbed, and raped her. Her name is Michelle Reich, and her case never went to trial.
She told me and the police officers that she enjoyed the intercourse with the defendant, that she found him to be a very attractive human being.
That's untrue. I never said that. I said it as a quote of what I said to him. When a gun is held to my head and someone's inside me, yes, I will say I am enjoying it. Absolutely.
There were 5 witnesses who were alibi witnesses for the defendant who claimed that he had met the victim at a party the same evening in the neighborhood and had gone home with her from the party.
When they first said to me, they're witnesses, I said, can they pick me out of a lineup? And then I realized, I'm not the villain here. I am the victim. This has happened to me.
What happened to Michelle Reich that day is still in dispute. What followed was tragic. Fairstein decided at the last minute to plea bargain the case. The defendant, Nathan Giles, served less than a year in jail. Shortly after his release, he brutally assaulted and murdered a young nurse named Bonnie Bush.
If Linda Fairstein had done her job, Bonnie Bush would be alive today.
It's not an easy job, and I have made mistakes. I know Ms. Reich considers this to be one. I consider the murder a tragedy. I don't know that anything different would have happened had there been a trial.
Linda Fairstein continued her important work. In 1992, she was still head of the Manhattan District Attorney's Sex Crimes Unit. In 1972, when she joined the unit, New York City had only 18 convictions in sexual assault cases. After 20 years on the job, Fairstein reports they get an average of 200 convictions every year.
What we hear over and over again from victims who testify at trials that involve stranger assaults is that they are very empowered by the experience, that it is not like a made-for-TV movie, that it tends to be very cathartic, much easier than they anticipated. They're rarely on the witness stand more than an hour.
Fairstein hopes the progress will be followed by improved understanding of date or acquaintance rape, which played a part in an infamous murder case she handled.
I grabbed her and yanked her as hard as I could, and she just flipped over me and let her...
In 1988, Fairstein was the lead prosecutor at the so-called Preppy murder trial of Robert Chambers, accused of killing Jennifer Levin in Central Park after an evening of underage drinking and of violent sex.
It was, I think, an awakening for a lot of people about how tragic this blame the victim defense is.
As a result of that trial, new legislation passed, which lets rape victims' families testify on the impact the crime had on them. Has the system and the public gradually become more responsive to the survivors of sexual assault, Fairstein is pressing for increased attention to the rapists.
Until we learn to work with offenders, to attempt to rehabilitate them, we are just putting them away for a short period of time, and they will repeat again. I've been here long enough. I've prosecuted so many of the same individuals over again in these 20 years, and it's just so many women who are unnecessarily victimized by people who are known, identified rapists. It's a very sorry part of our system.
When we come back, we'll show you the high-tech tools that other prosecutors are using to bring rapists to justice. We'll look back at a precedent-setting case as the Justice Files continues.
Just how amazing are elephants? Find out on Ultimate Guide to Elephants. Then spend a night on patrol, high-speed chase, and investigate the real stories, the real people. Arson, Clues in the Ashes on Discovery Sunday. Coming up on the Discovery Channel.
Yeah, the firm loves me. You should see the car I'm driving.
Introducing the all-new Mitsubishi Diamante. A remarkably well-crafted luxury sedan with the power of the largest V6 in its class.
Yeah, it's quieter in here than my office.
Hello?
Billy, hurry back. Mr. D needs his car.
The Diamante, Galant and Mirage. The new family of sedans for 1997 from Mitsubishi. Built for living. This perfect moment is brought to you each and every night by the Serta Perfect Sleeper. Serta, we make the world's best mattress.
Hi, Bob Vila here to show you a unique new Craftsman tool no home should be without. Craftsman Handy-Cut Utility Cutters. The one tool you can count on for all kinds of tough cutting jobs. Craftsman Handy-Cut does the job of utility knives, carpet knives, shears, shop cutters, and more. Look how tough it is to make a good cut through this damaged garden hose with a utility knife. Craftsman Handy-Cut gets it done in one clean cut. It's a terrific small branch and shrub pruner. Shears or shop cutters can't trim vinyl flooring as easily as the Craftsman Handy-Cut. Use the Craftsman Handy-Cut to cut nearly any common household material, including rope, plastic, leather, vinyl, and rubber. Call now, and you can order your Craftsman Handy-Cut for only $19.99. And remember, when you buy from Sears, your satisfaction is guaranteed or your money back.
To order your Craftsman Handy-Cut, get your Sears card or the credit card ready and call 1-800-347-9191. That's 1-800-347-9191. Call right now.
Go behind the scenes into the FBI's crime lab and meet the men and women who push science to its limits to put killers behind bars. The New Detectives. Tuesday at 9 Eastern, 8 Central on the Discovery Channel. Explore your world.
The first human clone may have been by satellite
from the Discovery Channel, the world leader in science and technology, and from ABC News, the acclaimed worldwide news organization, comes a powerful weekly newscast. Topical, timely, thorough. Discovery News. Explore the science behind the headlines. Fridays at 9 Eastern, 8 Central. Only on the Discovery Channel. Explore your world.
Looking at stories from our Justice Files that all point to the same conclusion, that women need to come forward to report the crimes against them. But law enforcement also has to provide some hope that their assailants will be caught. That's been difficult in the past. But an emerging technology using the basic blueprints of ourselves, DNA, is being used to put rapists behind bars. It's in wide use today. But we're going to look back at the fascinating case in 1986 that marked one of the first uses of this new technology.
2 years ago, Nancy Hodge, an Orlando, Florida computer operator, became yet another statistic in the FBI's tabulation of crime victims. Around midnight on May 9, 1986, Nancy was brutally raped in her home.
It was one of the most traumatic assaults I've ever seen in a rape victim. The burglary and assault on Nancy's house was really the first in a series of incidents we had in Orange County and the city of Orlando that were very similar in nature.
It took veteran Detective Barnhill and a task force of 8 other officers over a year to capture Nancy's assailant, who terrorized this neighborhood and became known as the South Trail Rapist.
We've attributed around 24 different cases to this individual.
During a stakeout, detectives caught this man, Tommy Lee Andrews, a 23-year-old former college football player, prowling outside a woman's home. Andrews' description matched the police sketch of the South Trail Rapist.
I said, that's the man. There's no doubt about it. And ultimately, subsequently that, I called Nancy, and she came down and identified him.
Tommy Lee Andrews was charged in Nancy Hodges' rape and robbery, 4 other cases of rape and robbery, and attempted murder. Now, since Andrews was charged in so many crimes, it would seem it wouldn't be difficult to convict him. But that was not so. The prosecutors were faced with a classic quandary. They could only try one case at a time, and they were prohibited by law from telling a jury that Andrews was a suspect or had been convicted in any other case. So, as Andrews' trial date in the Nancy Hodge case drew near, the evidence boiled down to his word versus hers. She would swear that he raped her. He would swear he did not. And Andrews claimed he had an alibi. Physical evidence at the crime scene was minimal. No fingerprints were found, but semen was recovered.
Absolutely.
That's when prosecutors Jeff Ashton and Tim Berry decided to call science to the rescue. Ashton had seen this ad about DNA paternity testing in a law journal, and he'd heard that the same technique could be used to identify criminals.
I was convinced from the time I read the first literature that this was something startling and something that we really should work on.
The literature came from Life Codes Corporation, this research laboratory north of New York City. Life Code scientists had developed a method of extracting and measuring DNA from biological evidence left at a crime scene. DNA stands for deoxyribonucleic acid. This is a molecule that carries the genetic information that makes each person unique. Almost every type of cell in the body carries DNA, and it's